Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justin, and we're back for another fantastic season of Heroes of the Storm action. And before we break down the length of the season, the prize pool, all that kind of stuff, I have to check in with my friends because it's been a little bit of time since we've all got to kind of hang out, watch some Heroes of the Storm, and have some commentating fun. So, Grubby, of course, how have you been? What have you been up to in the off season?
A lot of things. Mainly been playing a lot of games, really. Like I like playing games. It's one of my hobbies. What about you guys?
Did you also beat Dark Souls? That's one of the things that I achieved in my free time. I went through that tedious pain.
How dare you? You should remain loyal to Blizzard games. You can't play any other games. Actually, I did too. I played some other games.
Yeah, you might have hosted a tournament for Empires of Ages or something like that. Some weird title.
Something like that. But also have been playing a lot of HoTS still in the off season, though without the guidance of seeing how it is supposed to be done, without the guidance of seeing CCL pro players lay out the law. Can you believe it? Today I played a game on Alterac where people didn't fully understand that when you take the Hogger camp 10 seconds before the opponent, that's eventually a good thing, but not immediately, because your Hogger Camp meets on the enemy gates and then will get gunned down with the armor debuff. He's like, yeah, we got Hogger Camp first, that's a good thing. I'm like, if they watch CCL, they would know that's not a good thing immediately, but later on, we got to teach him during this season and level up the Storm League player base, Bahamut and Justin.
You're telling me your team didn't hold the wave for the null camp? Your team didn't proxy that wave for 20 seconds to get the difference?
No.
Weird. No, not in Storm League.
They did not do that, sadly.
that is quite fascinating. But of course, Justin, what did you get up to in the offseason? I know you and I have played quite a few games together. We've done some draft videos, but I'm sure you've had some free time and some fun as well.
Yeah, it's been really nice playing a bunch of different games too. Kind of like Grubby had mentioned, that's what I've been doing as well, just trying a lot of different games out. It's nice now that I'm here as an analyst to kind of be able to just play games for fun for the first time in quite a while in my life. So it's been an interesting experience being able to just enjoy video games for the sake of having fun and playing the game, as opposed to I gotta win all the time. Like it's been nice.
Well, for the next 13 weeks in this league, we are going to be seeing a lot of teams wanting to gotta win a lot of these games because we've got a lot of things happening in this season. We have a LAN, we've got our ladder bracket, but of course, we have the biggest thing of all is our prize pool. The base prize pool for our season, of course, is $33,600 with each team guaranteed $4,200. And right now, as always, we like to break things down for you at home. 60% will be going to the players. You can see that 35% will be going to that first place team. On the bottom left, you can see how it's broken down further from there. As always, we'd like to be transparent with you at home, and 40% will be coming back to Wisdom to be able to create amazing graphics, run this production. And some of you might have noticed that the palette, the colors, a lot of things are looking a little different. That is because we have heard you, we have listened to you, and the Wisdom creative crew have rebranded or redone this entire package. So we have dark mode. So all of you, you'll no longer be blinded by the CCL lights. You'll be able to enjoy a nice kind of lowered tone. And the one thing that I want to point out here is the prize pool. Of course, we're already we're already at $1,000 with the prize pool. And if you'd like to donate to that further, you can use !point prize pool in chat. And a quick little note, last season, Grubby, the community raised $23,100 for the prize pool over that 13 weeks for Season 3. It's really amazing to see how the Heroes of Storm community comes together for such an amazing event.
Yeah, truly incredible. It really brings up the prize pool and really helps the players be motivated to show their very best. And it also helped to bring out a childhood Justin riff, which was really
good.
Awesome as well.
That one was really good. I like that a bunch. Speaking actually of Justin, I'd like to go ahead and take a look at the standings right now. There's really nothing to discuss when it comes to the scores, but can you at least break down the teams we're going to be seeing throughout the season?
Yep. So right now the standings are in alphabetical order. So staying true to Season 3, 30K still on top for the time being. But things are going to change quite a bit as the day progresses and as the weekend progresses. All the rosters are pretty much all completely different from Season 3. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that in a little bit. But we do have the same orgs coming back from Season 3. Just all the rosters completely shaken up. And by the end of the day, the standings are going to look completely different.
And we can actually take a look at what today's matches are going to be, because Grubby, in my opinion, the first weekend, every match matters, of course, throughout the weeks of play, the 7 weeks of round robin, if you will. But today's kind of that appetizer. We get to see all these teams fresh. And what are we going to be seeing today, Grubby?
Yeah, we're going to be starting things off with Oxygen Esports against Chili Mountain. A lot of the teams that made power rankings, or at least a lot of the players from different teams that made power rankings, had Chili Mountain at or near the top, at the summit, if you will. So we're going to see if those predictions are roughly accurate or not, with the inaugural match of Season 4 beginning with Oxygen against Chili Mountain. Our second match for today, both of which are best of fives, is going to be Granite Gaming against Diamond Hands, both with very new rosters, almost entirely refreshed. And Granite Gaming, of course, has a little bit of extra attention on them as they field many ex-HGC pro players. HGC is a league that was held by Blizzard many years back, many moons ago by now, and some of those players had been in retirement, still playing sometimes, but now they're coming back. A lot of the players from Fnatic coming back here, playing under Granite Gaming, and we're going to see, have they still got it, Bahamut?
It is exciting. I'm really, really excited for both of these matchups today, but the Granite one, I really want to see how Granite does up against the Young Bloods or the squad of Diamond Hands. We'll see if Diamond Hands can hold up against them. And I want to talk about some amazing things that are also going to be shifting in the season. We have got a sponsor, someone that you might know from the past. We've got Next Level Gaming joining us again for HeroesCCL Season 4. Thank you so much, Next Level Gaming, for sponsoring this amazing league. And of course, if you're wondering what is Next Level Gaming, it is a Miami-based esports center where you can play Heroes of the Storm and over 400 other pre-installed games that are updated daily. Next Level is also a Blizzard Cafe, which gives you extra benefits playing at the cafe over playing at home, like extra experience and all heroes being unlocked. Next Level Gaming also has HP Omens with Intel i7 processors and RTX 3090 computers. With a monster of a computer like that, you gotta have a great monitor to produce some images, so they have two options for you at this Blizz Cafe Next Level Gaming. They've got a 24-inch monitor at 240 Hz, and they've got a 32-inch monitor at 144 Hz. Be sure to use !NXT in chat to find out more about this amazing esports center. And I had mentioned, we don't have just one sort of crew or backer for this season. We have something very interesting for all of you at home. HeroesCCL Fantasy is back. We have partnered with Ball Street to bring you cclmarkets.com. It's a free pick'em game that lets you choose HeroesCCL winners in real time as you watch the action. Simply buy shares of a team you think is going to win the matchup and sell shares of a team you think is going to lose. The best part? You can change your mind at any time because the market is always open. Buy and sell all match long to get a better score. Every night, the top traders on CCL Markets will win prizes and you can compete all season long. Join cclmarkets.com and win prizes as you watch today's broadcast. So thank you so much to Next Level Gaming and Ball Street for joining us for HeroesCCL Season 4. But Justin, let's start breaking down these rosters. We've been teasing it. We've been talking about it. Let's take a look at Oxygen here and see what we're going to see on the left side of the battleground.
I'm excited to get into it. We've got Oxygen Esports with Bad Benny playing the tank position. HoTS is the flex. Copenhagen, the offlane. Nick, the other flex, ranged assassin. Yasu playing support. And Rutso is their 6th member as the sub. And he's a flex as well. This roster is so strong that Rutso is their sub. One of the best players we saw in the previous seasons. So it's an absolute superstar roster coming out of Europe here. We've got Bad Benny, the tank player for 30k last season when they looked super dominant. A lot of that was thanks to Bad Benny and HoTS as well. Even Yasu, it's 3/5 of the old 30k roster. So really scary roster here. And new additions like Nick that we've never seen in the CCL before. So a really strong roster coming out of Europe.
Really strong roster out of Europe, but it's not the only one in the season. Grubby, as we take a look at Chili Mountain, this is also a storied, this is a roster with storied players on it. There's so many big names over here as well.
Yeah, Masquerade has won a number of CCLs by now. Dino was one of the most impactful acquisitions of Season 3. You could really see his effect, not just as a very comfortable and potent and threatening ranged damage dealer, but as someone who's completely changing every game he is in with the macro that he was applying to the game. And then Banana Age, phenomenal healer, Dayquaza, fantastic on Dehaka, Hagar on the side lane, and so on. Ultralisk, Kerrigan player, and Maiev, and more. And then we've got Make, who's going to be on the sub position, a very good player. But we've got just an insane roster here. And I think both Oxygen and Chili Mountain feel like top 3 material. Of course, teams always have to prove it. They have to prove that they have what it takes in order to make good placements. And the season is long, and endurance has to be good, and improvements to the meta have to be good as well by every team. But what a great starting match here.
I agree. Like, I think this weekend, I said it's an appetizer, but it really does kind of feel like that, because we're going to be seeing so many interesting matchups, and we're going to be seeing kind of the premiere for a lot of these teams. I think a big one that a lot of us are excited about at the end of this weekend, the last matchup, will be Simplicity versus Wildheart. I think a lot of us are interested to see how Simplicity will fare, as well as the Granite Gaming matchup a little bit later on today. But this matchup with Oxygen versus Chili Mountain, it's going to be really, really exciting just because of the names that we all just saw. Like this, I think we're literally just in kicking off with fireworks and explosions in this first best of 5.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This might be potentially a precursor to the grand finals, even with the way that the players power ranked the teams. Oxygen and Chili Mountain, both teams that were really spoken highly of during the player interviews, and both of them considered each other to be their biggest threats, their biggest rivals for both of these teams. So seeing them clash up against each other in our very first match of Season 4 is definitely really exciting and a great way to kick off the season.
And actually, really quickly, Justin and I gave our power rankings yesterday, and I know, Grubby, you were hosting a little watch party, and we saw some of your power rankings in the Twitch chat, but I'm curious, who do you kind of have in those the top couple spots when it comes to the season here?
I gave a really long, convoluted command to remind myself of my predictions, and I wrote it into my bot, but I forgot what the command was.
Actually, you know what? I actually think I copied it over. Give me 2 seconds,
Did
and
you?
I swear I copied it into our production chat yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
But I'll have to. Actually, you had Chili Mountain in 1, 30K in 2,
Yeah.
Granite in 3rd, then Oxygen, Diamond, Wildheart, Storm, and Simplicity. It just exciting stuff.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm thinking, like, is that wise to put Granite over Oxygen? Like, I'm not sure that is wise, but, you know, kind of going on a limb. I think I was getting carried away with you guys' impassioned reasonings as well. But no, I have to take responsibility for this. I did it. All right, let's keep it. And we'll check at the end of the season.
I think so.
How we all did, wouldn't we? That's why you saved it.
Yeah, I like that for the end of the season. We'll have to definitely do something around that. But let's actually continue diving into this series here, because we have our map pick ready to go, so we can kind of let you all know as to where we're going and how we got to Garden of Terror. Yes! And if you were sitting at home saying, wait a minute, where's Volskaya? We got rid of that. We said that Volskaya was boring. No, actually, what we did was we pulled the players like we do every season, and the players voted Volskaya out, and they voted Garden of Terror in. The members of Chili Mountain have one coin flip, opting for first pick priority, banning out Dragonshire, and we will see the members of Oxygen banning out Alterac Pass. Now, Grubby, I think the couple whats I heard from you are a little evident of some shock, I guess you could say, about Garden of Terror here.
The CCL Liquipedia still says Volskaya.
We're sneaky here. We're very, very sneaky.
we just talked about this. I was just saying how I was happy that Volskaya was back into the pool.
Well, unfortunately, that dream is crushed.
It's gone.
It's gone.
The players didn't like it. I mean, we had so many good moments on Volskaya. Okay, players didn't like it. All right, Garden back. Garden opening map. I can accept this. I just hope Blizzard comes back to the building and brings back Volskaya and replaces Warhead. But as long as the players are happy, that's what matters.
I'm happy personally. Like, I just want to see what's going to happen on Garden of Terror. Like, because Volskaya Foundry, you get a lot of great rotations from top to mid. You get some great brawling around the objective phases. You got a great solo lane, and it's also possible to be able to kind of gank that lane. But when you get to Garden of Terror, there's just so much interesting nuance. You've got bribery value, so you can get cooldown reduction on camp. Well, that is if you go into, I believe, Nova. But still, there's still bribe talents on many heroes. Vikings are huge here. But of course, Justin, I'm just listing heroes. I'm sure you got a bigger idea as to what these teams could potentially be drafting and banning here for Garden of Terror.
Yeah, so something that we haven't I mean, we haven't seen this map at all last season, so it'll be interesting to see what the draft priority is for these teams, especially since this is probably one of the maps that have been the least practiced for both of these teams because of that, because it's a new map coming into the pool. So it'll be interesting to see if kind of just where the priorities lie. Something that's a little bit unique on this map to most maps is the ability to stall objectives so easily. You don't see that too much. You see it mostly on maps like First Hollow, but it's a lot easier to defend some of these objectives, some of the channels here on Garden of Terror. So something that we don't normally see, something like a Deathwing even with the meatballs at level 7, or anything with just good long-range poke. We see the Junkrat already being banned out. Blaze gets extra priority on this map, being able to just put the oil down and make it impossible to channel, while also being one of the strongest heroes in the game. So be interesting to see, because it's been a while. The draft meta is changing, and this is a map that we've never seen in Season 3.
It is actually really interesting, and for anyone wondering, the objective phase does have global vision for both sides, so Deathwing, he can utilize that Skyfall, but as long as he can see, so that is actually a nice adaptation, Justin. I really like that. But there's that Blaze that you were talking about very early. I wonder, Grubby, if there's any priority onto a Nubarak for the Beatles to kind of pull away those sappers, and you can maybe get a solo cap, potentially?
So on Alterac Pass, the minions do very little damage, and it's easy to make a summon and actually hold them off. But a Beator 2 doesn't actually hold off 4 of those plant terror things. They actually do a lot of damage. Like Brightwing, if she's trying to solo them, she'll actually die in like 5 or 10 seconds. That's how much damage they do in the mid to late game. So I don't think a Beator 2 will hold them off. Generally, it's easiest to use 2 heroes and actually have one person just block the terrorists and the other one caps them. So yeah, I don't think a Nubrak is as important as on Alterac.
Okay. It's just one of those things that popped up because I was actually rewatching the grand finals last night, and that was what we were seeing Bad Benny do on Alterac, was constantly summoning beetles, pulling the jailers, and getting the solo caps. But I'm sure, Justin, you've got some thoughts on the second ban phase.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So Oxygen Esports is opting to take both the globals here. The 2 big ones, with Falstad being banned out by them. They definitely have a plan coming into the draft, picking up the Dahaka and the Brightwing from second pick. Them being second pick means that they're the team that picked it, so they know what they're doing on the map. They seem to have a strategy prepared with those 2 globals. They kind of have a monopoly on the globals right now. But Chili Mountain getting the Blaze, and specifically the Rhaegar, feels almost like that might be too much in a 5v5 against Oxygen. So Oxygen most likely going to really make good use of their globals, because the way it stands right now, it might be difficult to draft a comp that can win a 5v5 with the Blaze and the Rhaegar already picked up by Chili Mountain.
Do you think, Justin, because we had tested this out a little bit with our interesting main tank Rhaegar one day, do you think this could be a realm where we see W build Rhaegar and CCL, or is it still going to be Totem with Earth Living Enchantment sort of standard build?
I think it's hard to say. The main reason that you'd play it like that is because the Rhaegar W gets increased value if he uses it on himself, so he's really strong with double support, and he also has the wave clear, which makes up for the typical problems that double support has. I wouldn't expect it in this game because it's Garden, so the map is really huge, so you're not really expecting that. It is possible going forward, but probably not this game.
All right. Grubby, of course, any thoughts as we're getting towards the latter portion of the draft?
I like the Sylvanas pick against globals a lot. In order to force people to use their global and stop soaking the side lane and actually join the fight quicker, or join defense quicker, it is important to apply heavy pressure of a greater force than what globals can achieve by themselves. And Sylvanas' Black Arrow actually offers that. Sylvanas, Hammer, they can do that kind of thing and push down forward. So I think that's great. We have a very high amount of damage coming in from Chili Mountain between Sylvanas and Greymane. They're very mobile. And then we get the Stitches pick coming in here from Masquerade. You love to see it. We got probably a Gorge pick coming up here with some CC follow-up from Rhaegar and Blaze and plenty of deletion power. And Imperious from Nick. This guy drafts different, Justin.
Yeah, this is a little strange for sure. The Imperious, really not what I expected. I figured that they'd need something that does just a ton of damage if they want to be able to keep up. Imperious, though, with the percent damage level 1, does do a ton of damage, and this kind of enables them to be able to focus the front line, whereas most other picks would have been potentially a detriment and not help to focus that front line. You've got Stitches and Blaze with super high HP pools, some of the highest in the game, and being able to have that Imperious with the percentage damage level 1, which is what I'm expecting, is going to do a lot of work in kind of just shredding down the front line. It's a little bit scary, though, for Oxygen to play a front-to-back team comp. into what Chili Mountain has drafted, because Sylvanas and Greymane are going to just be putting out more sustained damage than the solo Hanzo will on the side of Oxygen. They do have a ton of CC though, and if they're able to hit 1 CC on any of the squishy members of Chili Mountain, they should just not be able to play the game, not be able to move. The macro, say a little bit, it's hard to say. They do have 2 globals on the side of Oxygen, but overall the just general wave clear and pushing power for Chili Mountain is a little bit better. So I'd say it's a little bit even. The one thing I find to be a bit strange is the Stitches pick for Chili Mountain doesn't really seem to fit the rest of the comp too well. They're kind of, it seems almost like they're relying on just hitting a long max range hook in the late game to get picked and win the game. But overall, teams look pretty even. I'm excited to see which team's going to play better.
Well, Justin, thank you as always for your analysis and your breakdown. Let's go ahead and jump on into Garden of Terror because we are loaded on in and ready to go. And we've got these teams here for you as we have Oxygen, Bad Benny on the Murd, Copen on the Dahaka, Nick on the Imperius, Yasu on the Brightwing, and Hazuabs on the Hanzo. For the side of Chili Mountain, we are looking at Dino on the Greymane, Banana on the Rhaegar, Ultralisk on the Sylvanas, Dayquoise on that Blaze, and Masquerade on the Stitches. Looks like we're going to get a slight pause here when we're going to figure out what's going on with that one in a second. But while that is happening, we got the 3 of us here, and we can continue to talk about this a little bit further. Of course, Grubby, you've heard Justin's analysis. Any sort of thoughts that you have as well before we kind of really get into Garden of Terror?
I want to hear more from Justin. I want to hear, so you mentioned there's a lot of CC here on the side of Oxygen, which have Muradin, Dahaka, Imperius, Brightwing, and Hanzo. I want to project forwards and say, if this team is going to win a team battle, a team fight, how is it going to look like? You're muted. For me, at least.
My bad.
In Discord.
Yeah, my bad.
There you go.
now that they have the Imperius with percent damage, it kind of changes the way that they can play fights a bit. It gives them a lot more option to focus the front line with the Stitches and the Blaze, especially into the late game if he does take that percent damage. Without it, they really do need to try to get some kind of CC onto either the Rhaegar, Sylvanas, or Greymane, one of the squishy targets for Chili Mountain. So a lot hinges on the Imperius level 1. I'm expecting it to be the percent damage, and that will make it a lot easier because then they have a really easy chance to just CC someone in the front line and take them down. But it is a lot to risk kind of going for that, because if you do put all that emphasis onto killing a Blaze or onto killing a Stitches, Sylvanas and Greymane is a ton of sustained damage that's just going to shred your team down, and it might not be so easy to focus them while you're getting hit by a Sylvanas and a Greymane. So if a single CC hits onto any of the squishy members of Chili Mountain, it should be lights out for that member, and it should be a team fight win for Oxygen. But it's a lot of coordination required for Oxygen. I'd say Chili Mountain's comp is a lot easier to play. I'd put the burden of execution heavily on Oxygen because they need to chain all their CCs together to be able to secure any kills at all.
Maybe there's a really high burden of execution as well on Hazuops here, who will be playing as the Hanzo. He's going to try to hit those EU arrows again, the Dragon Arrow that increases in damage and stun duration from the longer away it arrives from. He hit some absolute bangers, some absolute rockets in Season 3. Had a couple of videos and clips on it as well. We had, of course, Kyle Ferguson do a deep dive with him on some of that. But damn, yeah, Hazuops will need to hit some good arrows. And if he does, that may just be the gap closer required to get that Imperius percentage damage and all that interlocking CC to have an effect. But on the other side, Masquerade must be the big playmaker. He can get some good hooks and gorges.
He is going to be going, actually, I can see some of the level 1 talents right now as we are just fixing a couple little issues in the background. Thank you all so much at home for being patient with us, just making sure that everything is going to run smoothly for the broadcast. So sorry for the slight delay, but we will get into game number 1, Garden of Terror, in just a second. And as I was saying, I can see some of the talents right now, so just a couple things to note really quickly. Dahaka is going to go into that enhanced agility. And on a map like Garden of Terror, you go from a 2-second boost of basically like 120% to, once it's finished out, you have a 140% movement speed for 5 seconds after tapping a bush. So Dahaka getting around the map should be an easy time. Feeding Frenzy would be a great way to also play with the Brightwing Polymorph, the Muradin Stormbolt. You've got, as you were mentioning, Hazuab's landing those gigantic arrows, and seemingly without even seeing the enemy, he just kind of reads where they're supposed to be, as Grubby was saying from the previous season. Looking over on the opposing side, though, we do have that patchwork creation for Stitches, which is going to be a great way for him to really sustain himself here, adjusting Anything, also really quickly, Sylvanas will be going to that overwhelming affliction as well. So just anything that maybe you can kind of oracle or look into the future here, Justin, and kind of predict when it comes to like, maybe is there going to be like a big 16 power spike for one of these teams? Will we see a power dynamic swap at a certain point, or is it kind of all steam one team per se?
I think level 10 is going to be really important for Oxygen, mostly. Being able to have the cooldown reduction on the Stormbolt for Muradin, and being able to also have that when Dahaka has the level 7 CDR, if they go that route, which is expected, is a ton of lockdown. Even though that's not an ultimate, being able to unlock your quest on Muradin with the double Stormbolt and the CDR is really important for their composition that's so cooldown and crowd control focused. I'm excited to see Bad Bunny playing the Muradin here. I think that Muradin is, in my opinion, the best tank in the game. I think that you could first pick him and it would be no problem, assuming that you're trading things like Blaze and Hogger that are very, very strong, but offlaners. I think that there's really no bad situation to pick a Muradin. He's very flexible. You have pretty much infinite options for what you go against. You never pick Muradin and feel like I've been countered, whereas something like a Diablo, you can feel that way. You can feel like you've been countered. Even like a Stitches in this game. I think Stitches, from my perspective, is the sort of the weakest hero in the draft for Chili Mountain. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to pick it here into things like Dahaka, that he doesn't care if he gets hooked. Brightwing is just going to blink away if they get hooked. Muradin likes getting hooked. Hanzo really the only one under any threat of being hooked, and he's going to have 3 big tanky frontliners to kind of just block those hooks for him. So I'm not expecting a ton of value coming out from the Stitches specifically into all of these big kind of chonky frontliners that are just going to be ready to tank those hooks. I'm really hoping to see Bad Bunny go with the Reverb level 4, because if he can jump in and Reverb on top of a Sylvanas and a Greymane, they're not allowed to play the game anymore. So I'm really hoping to see Reverb level 4, and if Bad Bunny does take the Reverb, I would be absolutely calling for an Oxygen win.
Alrighty, well, with that analysis further done, and thank you all once again at home for being so patient. Looks like we are going to be seeing some readies. We got the 3, 2, 1 countdown. We'll see you after the game, Justin, and we are back into it. I've already introduced the teams, and Grubby, I want to get your thoughts immediately here. We've talked about thoughts, but any sort of things that you maybe want to discuss right now, as we are kind of just getting into the start of the map with Masquerade looking for a hook onto Yasu.
Well, look at this. Ultralisk and teammates from Chili Mountain are already starting to do a little bit of damage on the tower here. Stormbolt dodged by Ultralisk and a nice Banshee wave away, Hunting wave away. They get about 20% damage or so on the tower. And that's really one of the main objectives in a game of Heroes of the Storm. In fact, it is the only objective. Everything else is a means to an end, but killing buildings is the end. Literally, when you kill the core, you win the game. You know, it's a new season. We should at least assume that a couple of people have not played a lot of HoTS before, if ever. So that is the goal of the game. Kill forts, kill keeps. They are the rook symbolized icons on the minimap. And then finally you kill the crown, which is the core. You can only kill the core if you kill a keep and a fort in the same lane. In this way you make a path towards it and the core stops being invulnerable. So while it may be flashy to go and kill heroes and kill minions, which keep coming in lanes, take down mercenary camps to summon them for your side and help push, it's really getting any building damage at all that helps. So we have a first camp invasion here by Oxygen. All 5 of them show up. The hook on Bad Bunny, and that is First Blood.
Wow, that honestly, it's a whole season. You know, we've had the whole off season. We're not even missing a beat right now. I think that one was actually perfectly done. We nailed it first time, first try. The other thing that I want to note, because Grubby is kind of breaking down Heroes of Storm, the MOBA, and the playstyle as well. The other thing to note too is as you take down structures, you get passive experience. But not only that, when you take down a fort, you start summoning a catapult every every third wave for yourself. I used to think it was fourth. Either way, every third wave you summon a catapult, and then when you take down a keep, you summon a catapult to age your lane every single wave, which is really, really a great way to constantly press out the wave and potentially find extra advantages. As we have a fight breaking out in top lane right now, some haunting waves to be utilized, polymorph onto Banana, but he's able to back away. And now, let's talk about the most unique thing about Heroes of Storm here, Grubby. It's not that we have so many maps, it's that all the maps have uniqueness in their objective phases. This right here, you gather 3 seeds for your team, you summon the Garden Terror, and it spawns into your wave, pushing in and locking down towers. as we have another fight breaking out here in mid. This is a nice polymorph. Masquerade seems like he might be able to back away as Bad Benny gets the dwarf toss out.
Yeah, Masquerade uses his Shambling Horror, which is a 60-second cooldown that allows him to shrug off all slowing effects and be a little faster as well. He'll be 110% movement speed, 10% more than the usual, and he was able to get away with that. Now, this is a bad position in order to take the first seed. That would be one part of 3 parts that would summon those Night Towers that you described. So Chili Mountain lets it go despite being ahead so far. They're the first to get a kill and the only one to get a kill, and they were also leading in experience. But they were just a few inches away from that level 7 talent tier where they get the 3rd talent pick on their heroes. They decided position matters, they're gonna let it go. Nice drag tongue there by Kolpen, but he is in a 2 versus 4. We have the rest of Oxygen here scrambling to get a position to come in with the defense. Hazuops is rotating top. You can see him on the minimap, but he's gonna take the safe route from the left side. By the time he arrives, so much damage has already been done. Dino is getting attacked under 40. He's going to try to get away. Polymorph, Arcane Flare. The kill is made. The first counter kill by Oxygen. It is 1-1 in kills, but look at the damage that has already been done on that top fort, Bahamut.
That's a lot of damage. There's somewhere in the 10 or so % range left on that fort. And I actually have to really shout out Copen on that drag that really set up the potential kill. And with the Greymane just now respawning, the Seed just about spawning as well. This is the second one of the game. It's looking like we should see a brawl over this, though Dahaka, he's in bottom lane. I'm assuming he will have the brush stock available, just matching into that blaze. Bad Benny set up in the bush. This is something Justin has talked about in a tank tier list we did a little bit ago, and I asked him for some tank tips, and he said, always stay mounted, being in that bush. If you're not on the map and you're mounted, that is such a better thing as a tank because you're providing vision. You can also kind of set up slows, dismounts, and also defend for your team. And there's just that kind of threat of where is Bad Benny? There he is. He jumps out of the bush, gets himself some armor from that dwarf block level 1. Also does have the heavy impact from that level 7, which is going to be an 80% slow for 1.5 seconds. And with Hanzo having the explosive arrows, this should be a quick second objective to the side of Oxygen Esports.
Yep, they're practically okay with giving that away because look at that. Name a more iconic duo than Dino pushing a side lane fort during an objective phase that doesn't have the hugest of impacts. Gotta give credit though to Nexus Forces for taking down Blaze in the bottom lane. It was Dahaka versus Greymane and Blaze. And there's a double kill here coming in for Oxygen. The Haka manages to trade 1 for 0 in the bottom lane despite losing a fort. Another kill here on Sylvanas. Now with the arrow on Stitches, there's the abduction from Imperius. He's got Burn the Impure. He's doing percentage damage. Nice skewer shish kebab there, full of stitches. Oxygen takes the second Night Terror seed, but they're practically down 2 entire forts. One is dead. The top fort has just 400 life remaining to it, Bahamut.
Invade onto the camp on the bottom left from Dino, but the same can be said on the top right of our map, as we will see Bad Benny and crew steal away the night camp for the top lane. If this Garden Terror goes over to the side of Oxygen, there's a slight difference between how the Garden Terror summons versus how the Web Weaver summons on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Garden Terror spawns up as far as your wave. So if your wave is all the way back at a keep, and that's the only wave in the lane, that's where your Garden Terror spawns. The difference is that also, well, many other differences, but the other thing is that the Garden Terror doesn't naturally lose health over time like the Web Weavers. So you got a little bit more tankiness, but it is going to spawn potentially further back. So there is a little bit of an idea behind where is your wave when you do get the summon. If you wipe the enemy team, pushing out the wave a little bit might be beneficial since you can get that Garden Terror already pressing up onto a fort. And it seems, with this being on the bottom right of the side, you had mentioned this earlier, the spawn position not too good for Oxygen. They'll give this for now. They'll try and close the level gap that is formed, but look at Masquerade here. Abduction onto Hanzo. Can Hazu get out?
No, he cannot. And that was a hook gorge. I believe we only saw the tail end of it with the gorge. Bad Benny gets charged there by Blaze, the big jet propulsion, but it was not enough to follow up to get him because Yasu is there. Goes in with the Emerald Wind, by the way. A little question mark there at that pick. But I guess they want to do an Emerald Wind Dwarf Toss bomb somewhere in the center or so. We have a big ferocious defense here by Oxygen, Bahamut.
This is looking pretty good. A great drag will land onto Rhaegar. Banana gets the self-incest. No, he doesn't get the self-ancestral. Huge Celestial Charge onto 2. That's going to be a kill onto Sylvanas. Masquerade trying to wiggle out of this, but that's going to be a drag from Copen landing. He's got that Feeding Frenzy. Dino in a bad spot. Celestial Charge doesn't matter. Hazuabs gets his revenge on the enemy's side. Quadra kill and a seed spawning in 17 seconds. This is where Dahaka, you see him already in bottom lane. He's going to start pushing out the wave. Hanzo, Yasu, gonna grab a Siege Giant camp for this mid lane. And Grubby, can you break down for us? We got a little replay going on, so can you break down how that went so well for Oxygen?
I'm guessing we're starting at the start of the fort fight, so this looks good. It's a Black Arrow attack. There's a Stormbolt on Ultralis. We have a big skewer there. Celestial Charge from Nick coming in, and it seems like that is going to be it. But look at that, the bunker providing armor safety does keep people in a predictable position, and the bottom wall was still there, so you know where someone is going to go when they're trying to escape. Oxygen made fantastic use of that, with big plays by Bad Penny and Nick, staying alive with just a little bit of health. They got the valuable CCs, and then to top it all off, another Hazuops Hanzo EU arrow, hitting pure and straight, doing the follow-up damage. Now we are 8 versus 3 in takedowns, and that structural damage that Chili Mountain had eked out, that advantage, that is evaporating like snow before the sun, because the long night has come, and Oxygen is pushing with it.
We have a big rotation into bottom lane. Masquerade is mounted up, slams the bush. That's a Celestial Charge. A great purge from Banana. From anyone who might be, ooh, that's a really good, okay. Good sidestep. For anyone that might have missed it, also, Rhaegar did have a little bit of a change, as he does have a cleanse built into his kit, but that's as Wrath of Angiris. Great. Okay, I love the Emerald Winds, because you said earlier, you were like, the Emerald Winds is interesting, and I'm like, yeah, the level 20 is really good. It's a 5-second cooldown. They took away that insane mana cost from it,
right.
So you can just do that. But I think we're seeing a little bit of what they're really planning here. They want to go for that Wrath of Angiris, split someone, and then utilize that Emerald Wind to just force people even further back, trying to save whoever is the abductee. So, funny enough, we actually have 2 abduction compositions. We got a Gorge Stitches and we got a Wrath of Angiris Imperius.
Yeah, it's kind of like a budget Gorge Gust combination that was so popular in 2016, 2017 and stuff. Now we've got Emerald Wind with Wrath of the Angiris. I'd say it's a little bit harder to execute. It's a bit riskier because Brightwing doesn't have an escape now. And here's a good tip, though, if you want to try this build out on Storm League. I'm not going to say your teammates will thank you for picking Emerald Wind, but you must take Phase Out at level 16. It's just a 3/4 second self-stasis, but it's going to help you to get away from trouble where Blink Heal no longer is an option. Nice job by Oxygen to maneuver themselves in a good position in the game, but importantly, Chili Mountain did manage to defend their forts. None had fallen.
As we take stock of those forts, the top is quite low, mid is very healthy, but if we look at the minimap on the bottom lane, Dahaka has been proxying and pushing things up. Dekwaza will come down here with the oil slick. Should be able to save the fort with just a sliver of HP, but we are going to see another seed spawning here in the bottom center of the map. Mid lane, Sylvanas wants to lock things down and get themselves a tower. It's 9-3 in kills, 17-16 in our levels, and a fight might break out here. Dahaka burrows into the ground, has the tunneling claws. That's a cursed bullet. There's going to be a Gorge hook on the right side of our screen. We do have Nick popping his armor. Huge arrow from Hanzo. The Rhaegar's getting low. He's isolated by the Dahaka. There's a bunker down from Blaze. That mid lane fort does fall. Bottom lane still in a sliver of HP. Banana gets the Ancestor Healing. There's going to be a hook onto Hazuabs. Greymane goes over the wall. Huge Celestial Charge, but where's the damage? Greymane will be abducted. There's going to be the Emerald Wind. Greymane is going to go low. The Purge comes through, but he still will fall. That's a 1-for-1 for both of these teams as the fight does continue, Grubby.
Yeah, really freaking cool fight. We started with that big Gorge on Muradin, trying to keep him out of the fight. It wasn't to kill Muradin, it was to try and save his team. And to a degree, it kind of worked. We have Chili Mountain with a 1-hero advantage, but off camera, Muradin never stopped chasing. To the ends of the earth, he said, like Arthas to the Dreadlord Mal'Ganis after he saw his homeland had been ravaged by the undead. To the ends of the earth. And Bad Penny does get that kill on Rhaegar. Rhaegar is being relentlessly focused here by Oxygen Esports. They're showing how to deal with this healer, especially when you don't get the Doggy Run level 1 talent, you get the Totem talent. He's not as fast as a hero on Mounter with jumps. Look at that, Bad Benny is exerting a lot of control with his Muradin, and Emerald Wind secured that kill on Dino's Greymane earlier. I have been finding Emerald Wind to be much more effective than I expected in this match, Bahamut.
It is a beautiful utilization of it, and looking at Bad Benny's build here, this is a pretty common build. I feel like 4 is there's so much variety at 4 with Reverberation or Sledgehammer, but I love the Dwarf Block at 1, the heavy impact at level 7 for that 80% slow 1.5 seconds, but now we've got the Dwarf Launch, so you increase the range by 40%, but if you land on enemy heroes' heads, you also reduce your Dwarf Toss cooldown by 2 seconds. That's just a really, really good way to just sustain the chase. That's actually how I think he kept up with Rhaegar. And last but not least, the hard carry talent of it all, that Bronze Beard Rage. Healing and extra damage when you land the Stormbolt, as Bad Benny taps the well, needs to back away from the enemy side that does take down their fort. Another seed to spawn here, and Grubby, for the first time in the season, you want to jump into some comms for one of these teams?
Yeah, that will be great. Let's jump into Oxygen Esports.
Oxygen we go.
Okay. I will soak the mid XP first.
I'm hidden, bot.
He might look me around. Yeah, hook down. You clear mid with
We have 20 now.
Yeah.
I'm pushing top.
We
a bit.
should, walk up, maybe.
Walk up from the other side.
But this is so scary though. Like we don't want.
We should push mid then.
Yeah, I think
Good funny.
look to dive mid then if anything.
Blaze here.
Pushing top side soon.
Raymond is showing bots.
We have to. Oh,
They used to, they used to.
Yeah.
Look, I'm on him. He's stunned.
I wait for cleanse, now I lick now.
Yeah. Commit on stitch.
Stand up.
Nice, huge. We should take the fort here.
Can
running
see
bot.
with
I have
one
C.
with me for the C. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll just.
They're gonna look for a pick bot probably. With
I don't have the
Greymane.
25.
I think you're fine though. Oh, Blaze is here. Secure the fort.
I'm showing bot now.
I have ult. They don't have cleanse, I think.
That was a beautifully layered, that was just beautifully layered, Grubby. I can't believe it, as another fight will be breaking out here. That is another arrow from Hanzo connecting. Isolation from the Dahaka will go out. The Ancestor Healing does connect just in time, as the Drag will connect onto Dino, and he is just trying to razor swipe his way out of this. That is a nice explosive arrow, but I think with the 20 talent tier advantage, with Stitch is dead for the next 10, this might be another seed to the side, potentially another Garden Tear to Oxygen. Any thoughts there, Grubby, on what we just saw and heard?
Oh, the level 20s are big here and the action keeps going, so we don't really have time to jump into it too much, but we've got the level 20s, and Chili Mountain, they're standing by here, right? Like, they can't really commit to this. I'm very surprised that they're standing here and watching when they cannot possibly think that they can compete without level 20s, but they're trying anyway. We have a Gorge on Emerald Wind. Nick is going in. He's got Wrath of the Endurance, but it's not going to work. Yasu with the M Wind. He's got the face out, but that's not going to be enough. I can't believe it. Chili Mountain trades 1-for-1 while down a Storm tier talent. Will it get worse, though, for Chili Mountain? Oxygen gets the abduction on Masquerade. He runs away with the Shambling Horror. Chili Mountain is doing insane. They've got more damage piled on after trading 1-for-1. Major props. And I guess that's the big difference with Storm League and competitive. They know how to take a level 19 versus level 20 fight and get out ahead as well. Oxygen deliberately forced a relatively unimportant bruiser camp in order to bring things to a head while utilizing their Storm tier talents, and it kind of turned against them. Major props by Chili Mountain here.
So Chili Mountain are looking to go for the channel. Bad Benny with one interrupt. A follow-up from Hazoabs does have the bullseye at level 20 for that Sonic Arrow. Bad Benny, 30 seconds on avatar form. We do have Banana getting stunned out once again. Some scatters from Hanzo. Brightwing up in 5 seconds. Should have the phase shift up and available to jump into this engagement, whereas the Blaze has to rotate all the way, and there's the phase shift, but it's going to be canceled out by the Gorge of the Stitches, as that is a Wailing Arrow onto Nick. Here's that Wrath of Angiris. Ancestor Healing will still connect onto the Stitches, who's just trying to get away Bad Benny with the phase shift now. There's a drag, there's a kill. That's going to be an Emerald Wind splitting Ultralisk away. Polymorph as well, but there's not enough damage to find the kill onto Ultralisk, as Yasu is being really pushed back. The turnaround from Nick onto Dino. Bad Benny over the wall. It's a double kill for Bad Benny, as Hazuabs makes a massive stun happen here. That's a Rhaegar kill from Hazuabs, who continues to agility and chase in with that level 16. And
Oh
that
my
right there,
God.
ladies and gentlemen, is a pentakill. The members of Oxygen ace the side of Chili Mountain. They get the objective phase. And what does Oxygen do with the next 40 seconds on average?
Win the game, I think, Bahamut. That was insane. I think they can't just go and win the game here. Everybody's dead. They've got the plant terrors. Can I just say how impressive that was? Because Yazoo, he dropped really low. He dropped to 10%. Dino had his movement speed increase from running wild, level 13 talent. He was putting on some real pain train. Right wing dropping low. He wanted to go confirm the kill. He knew that they were down 4 versus 5. Chili Mountain needed return kills. He went for the bright wing, curse bullet, the Imperious, and then suddenly, bam, Hazuops with the big stun. You had Bad Bunny jumping in. They turned it on its heel. Bunker notwithstanding, people were CC'd. It is Oxygen that is getting the win here. Justin predicted it if Reverberation is taken by Bad Bunny. He was right. Let him be right many more times. But this time it is Oxygen that gets the first W here, the first victory of the entire season against Chili Mountain. 1-0 in this best of 5.
Brand new rosters, a brand new map, and a brand new season of CCL. That was an explosive matchup. The back and forth was so amazing. I actually, early game, as Chili Mountain just kept sieging, I was like, man, the Greymane Sylvanas, they can just burn through structures. And I thought Blaze Stitches would tank enough Rhaegar. Healing is just through the roof right now, as just he's in a great spot. But I can talk all day about how blown away I am. Of course, Justing, let's get you back in here, and let's have you break down everything that happened on that Garden of Terror map.
Yeah, I agree that the early game looked a little bit shaky for the side of Oxygen. It really looked like Chili Mountain might be able to just take it with the strategy of sort of just 4-man pushing top, just a death push. And it worked the first time. They got about 30% of the fort, and they did something interesting, which was kind of the Dino special, where instead of having their offlaner in Blaze kind of catching those waves, they actually just had Dino taking camps and creating pressure in the other 2 lanes while the rest of the team grouped up and pushed top. And even though Oxygen was getting some retaliation picks and some kind of turnaround kills while they were pushing, they still didn't manage to get any siege of their own for Oxygen. And that's kind of what Oxygen's comp does, is they have good abilities to get picks and to win fights, but really no siege. They really rely heavily on that objective to get the siege, but they were getting the seeds early, and the trade-off didn't really feel worth it, though. It was only 2 seeds in exchange for most of their top fort and their entire bottom fort for the side of Oxygen. It wasn't really until sort of after that level 10 point where they started getting just pick after pick and being able to they got the first seed objective, the first plant spawned. That didn't get a ton of value. It got a little bit of mid fort and bot fort and just like chip damage on some of the walls, but nothing major. It was really just Oxygen winning all of the team fights, though, with their crowd control. And they got a ton of picks in between the lanes. It felt like Chili Mountain, maybe when they weren't together, was a little bit disjointed outside of when they were all together. And then even when they were, the team fight of Oxygen just felt way too strong. Bad Benny is my MVP for the series. He took all the right talents, finally. All the Muradins, I think he's the first one I've seen that actually just took all the right talents, in my opinion. He took the build that I think is best, that makes Muradin OP, and he showcased that in the game. There was that one fight around the bottom seed where he's jumping onto the Rhaegar and basically just solo killing him, sticking to him, making it basically impossible to play the game for Banana on the Rhaegar. And Oxygen, Nick as well, really impressed me this game. I thought it was a little strange to see the level 20 upgrade for the Kidnap ultimate. I thought that might have been a bit of a mistake, and because I thought they would really need that percent damage, but he made it work. They played really well around their sustain. It felt like Oxygen had a little bit less sustain, but they used that to their advantage even in that last fight, where it looked like they were going to die, and they almost used that just to bait, and they get the turnaround. Chili Mountain, a little bit too aggressive at the end there, going for losing a member and still continuing to fight 4v5 because the HP bars were so low on Oxygen. They almost used that as a bait, and that was just enough for Oxygen to be able to turn the fight around and get that 5-0. So an interesting dynamic between Chili Mountain trying to play the map against the double globals and Oxygen being the team that was really winning the team fights and playing mostly just for team fights. And they really made it work. The Emerald, very weird. The Kidnap ultimate from Nick on the Imperious, very weird, but they really made it work out. And Oxygen just winning all the team fights, basically, to be able to win this game. Even this one, which this seemed ridiculous. It was 4 versus 5, and they don't have their one ranged hero in Hasuabs. and they still managed to turn this fight around. Just these 4 heroes with all their CC. Copen had the insane tongue onto the back line. And then even though Hasu's in the base, he's still contributing to the fight as soon as he spawns with the arrow. Just things like this, Oxygen just really playing the fights better than Chili Mountain.
And you even saw it a couple clips ago. It was 9-10. It was in favor of Chili Mountain, and that was where I think everything started to shift to the side of Oxygen. That was a 1-for-2 trade in favor of Oxygen down the 10 Talon, and you can also see Copen. Man, Copen with these drags on Dahaka with the feeding frenzy from level 7 for the cooldown reduction and drag duration increase. He's playing out of his mind. All these players on the side of Oxygen are playing fantastic today, but this is a best of 5 series. We still have many, many more maps to potentially go. Also, Yasu just playing with so much fire constantly. Grubby, of course, as we're taking a look back at some of the replays, any thoughts actually as we're looking at all this from the first map?
I just feel like there's been a big change from Season 3. Just that time where people get to practice and play, just kind of play on their mechanics and their strategies and their draft picks and their synergies. And we're seeing different things here. Of course, we have different players as well, and players sometimes define the meta. Of course they do. And yeah, that Imperious pick that we didn't really expect. The Emerald Wind, which has had very mixed results in the previous seasons. One thing never changes, and that's, of course,
springy.
Springy smelling your left ear shut cup.
Just telling me what to do. Like,
I love it.
Spring.
Secretly, all of our animals actually are the core drafters. That's why we have to sometimes like pull away from our cameras, because then like I have to have Bandit tell me what to do. Logan's telling Grubby to give him more pork strips and stuff like that. So I did pop by your stream and I saw Logan just going nuts for those pork strips. But I absolutely love it. So we are through the first map, but we still have many, many more maps to go today. We potentially could see 10 maps total. But I have to say right now, Oxygen, they are playing out of their minds. I put down a Chili Mountain win from that last one because I really thought with the Gorge and the Greymane, as well as the Sylvanas siege potential and Greymane's just overall siege and camp clear and team fighting, I thought Chili Mountain had that one. But Oxygen, they are really showcasing some skill today, and I'm excited to see it. I'm really excited to find out where we're going to head to for map number 2. And we actually have that ready to go. It is going to be the members of Chili Mountain opting for map pick priority actually here. And they are going to be choosing to take us to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Typically, a lot of teams opt for first pick priority. Any thoughts here, Justin, on why we might see Tomb over first pick, or just the fact that we're going here? Is there any sort of things that pop to your brain when it comes to what you saw from first game that maybe could be adapted to this map?
I just think it's a little bit interesting that Chili Mountain is picking this map again it's just interesting that we have Tomb again. Garden of Terror plays somewhat similarly to a gigantic tomb with the objective. The objective is basically the same thing, just on a much larger map. So it's kind of interesting to see that now we're basically going to tiny Garden of Terror, which it's just weird. It's weird to see it because we haven't had Garden in the map pool yet until now. So it's interesting for sure. This is a map where playing the way Chili Mountain played last game should work out a lot better for them, though, in the early game, where they were grouping up a lot and just trying to push as 4 and trying to siege. The rotations are a little bit too big on Garden of Terror to really be in that 4-man for too long, whereas on Tomb, they have a lot more room to move around as 4. And I'm expecting that they're going to be a little bit more wary of being caught in the rotations, because that was really what kind of hurt them the most in the last game, was getting picked in between the rotations, because the rotations are so big on Garden.
Yeah.
But on Tomb, there's a lot less room to make those mistakes and to get picked in that way. So I'm expecting Chili Mountain to do a little bit better based on the reasons they lost in the last game here on Tomb.
We didn't talk about it much because once we got out of the comms, Grubby, it was more chaos. But the cool thing that we actually heard when we were in the comms was, they were talking about some characters in this bush. I heard Blaze, but we could see it wasn't Blaze, and I think they knew that. But the moment that hook from Stitches went out that didn't connect, you could see everyone on Oxygen was on the exact same page. Collapse, dive, and kill Masquerade. But I want to get, of course, any other thoughts that you might have had from those comms, or just any other takeaways you had from the first map here.
I'm going to be honest with you. During the time that we were on comms, Logan puked up all of his breakfast.
Oh no!
I wanted to gloss past it because action was
sorry.
picking up, but you're putting me on the spot, and it's all good. He's fine. My wife is looking after him, but there was a bit of a cleanup job during that, so I didn't hear the comms. Maybe we can jump into comms again during some of the next games.
We definitely will. It looks like we're actually getting ready for this map. I hope Logan feels better. Bandit,
I hope so too.
Like once a month, Bandit has the same thing where he gets sick. Like it's just like one random day.
They're dogs. Like
they're dogs.
Yeah, they're dogs. They eat wood and stuff. Like
that is true. That is true. Bandit actually chipped a tooth when I was gone in December by just chewing on a log of wood. So yeah, that's definitely what they do. But let's talk about Tomb of the Spider Queen. Justin, of course, any sort of thoughts that you have getting into the ban phase or even first pick priorities from either side from what we've seen so far today?
So I'm expecting the Junkrat and Hogger bans to stay the same. That's something that should be pretty standard across the maps, it seems, with the pick priorities. Also, Lucio being banned makes a lot of sense when you have players like Yasu on Oxygen, who have shown so much prowess on the Lucio in the past. This is a map where wave clear is the most important thing. It's a lot of just small, quick rotations between the lanes, trying to kind of get the wave clear advantage so that you can get your spiders out without the enemy stalling you. So expecting to just see a lot more priority onto wave clear and maybe a little bit less priority onto the globals than we saw in the last game. Oxygen did pick up 2 globals right away in the last game, and I'm definitely not expecting to see that this game.
Ooh, a Chromie ban. A lot of artillery can be removed by getting rid of her, and you also have, as you know, Justin and I have done a lot of draft theory videos and how to draft videos and stuff like that over on the HeroesCCL YouTube. And one of the big things that we've talked about is these goalies. And can you break down what this goalie is? Because we're actually seeing goalie bans on both sides.
Yeah. So the term I use is goalie. It describes a hero that basically can defend multiple people sieging into you at once. So you can be behind your fort as a goalie, which would be something like a Junkrat or a Chromie, and they have a ton of wave clear, and they also just have poke damage. So there's really no way to siege into that with those goalies like the Chromie and the Junkrat. You just aren't allowed to siege where they are, basically, because it's too risky and they can clear the wave too easily. Hammer being banned, very, very strange.
Well,
there has been a patch.
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
I have a little bit of info on this because Nick, who streams on Nick Heroes, or Niche Rose, as some people call it, he actually plays a lot of Sergeant Hammer.
Oh.
He does days where he tries to play almost only Sergeant Hammer on his stream, and he has played it in some other cups as well. So he has been scouted by Chili Mountain, and they're going to remove the hammer problem before it becomes a problem. And, you know, many people are going to think, when I see Sergeant Hammer in Silver League, with respect, everyone plays at their rank. But I pick Chromie, I pick Junkrat. Of course, those are already gone. I pick Stitches. Actually, Hammer is one of the, I think her biggest counter is Stukov. She's one of the most defensive ranged assassins. Her burst is not considerable until level 20, or unless you think of a Mind Trap. And she's really resilient, like more than a Vala. Like, you can't really all-in her with a hook so easily, or even with dive, with Illidan the Hunt, Judgment. That's exactly what she wants you to do, to force you into her Tessica zone. So, yeah, she's an annoying hero to deal with, especially when played and supported well.
You know, you reminded me of a really fun duo that you should try as well, Grubby, is Abathur Mind Build with Sergeant Hammer Mind Build.
Yeah,
it is egregious. It is mean. It is a little toxic, but it's a great time. But we have this Anduin ban coming out, so looks like the members of Oxygen will get rid of any sort of yoink ability. Right now, the members of Oxygen here, Justin, haven't shown much of the draft. They have a solid tank and a solid healer for Tomb of the Spider Queen. So right now, might as well just ban out a good solo laner, I guess, right?
Yeah, they have a lot of flexibility here. This is a situation where I'm not expecting it too much because it is Tomb, but they are set up to potentially go with an Abathur at some point if they want. Again, it's not expected, but it does pair really well with the 2 heroes that they've chosen. And Chili Mountain has drafted something very standard, a lot easier to play than the last game. They have Blazed Tyrael with the Sanctification and the Bunker, which are basically the same, functionally the same thing in a team fight. Jaina coming out is interesting. So I was going to note that between the Blaze and Tyrael, the one thing that has as a downside is it doesn't have any really direct lockdown. So picking a ranged hyper carry that isn't really going to feel threatened against that Well, the Vala has already been picked up by Chili Mountain, so that wouldn't be an option. Picking up the Jaina now for Oxygen, I really like that a lot, because Jaina is something that typically you don't want to pick it into a lot of hard CC. You don't want to get... Basically, she's unsafe. That's her problem, but she does a ton of damage, especially at 13 once you get the Icy Veins. So knowing that you're going into Blaze and Tyrael, very defensive tanks that aren't going to really put much pressure on you, I really like that a lot. And also the Anduin ban, I like that a lot as well, because that is kind of the premier support to save the Vala in that type of competition. My only complaint for Oxygen is that they're allowing Chili Mountain to get a last pick Stukov. I still think that Stukov is, if not the best hero in the game, still in the top 3 for me for overall heroes in the game. I think he is just the best hero in the game. He's too flexible for what he does, what he's capable of doing. And I don't think that getting a Stukov last pick is a legal play. Weird to see the Kerrigan come out.
You did put him in your tank tier list right there, but Grubby, any quick thoughts before we throw it back over to Justin really quickly?
There's a really large part of the roster in Heroes of the Storm that I don't like playing into Stukov. Hammer is one of them, and Kerrigan is another, and probably 70 of the other heroes as well, because of what Justin is saying. In that Stukov is very flexible. AoE heals that are big for everyone while silencing and damaging and slowing.
He is a Titan, but of course, as we're loading in, I got to get Justin's breakdown analysis. Who wins the game, my friend?
So this is a weird one. Already we're seeing a strange draft come out from Oxygen. It's not really a thing that we see very much. They're very combo focused, but they have a lot less CC to layer than the last game. I think their execution is going to be a lot more difficult than it was in the last game, because if someone missed the CC in the last game, they had other CCs on deck. It wasn't super important that they chained it perfectly. Whereas in this game, they're really relying heavily on the Kerrigan combo and the Johanna combo to really get picked with that Jaina and that Kerrigan combo at the same time. So the execution heavily on Oxygen, because the tools for defense between the bunker from Blaze and the sanctification from Ethereal and the ultimate from Stukov are all there. I think Chili Mountain's comp is significantly easier to play.
Well, it looks like we have a slight pause. It's going to be just a short Discord issue. We're going to get that leveled out. The players just need to make sure that the DC on Discord doesn't continue. So, of course, Justin, while we have you here, any further pontification do you have for this matchup?
Something that could happen is we could actually see an adaptation by Johanna to go into the Blessed Shield this game.
Ooh.
It's a little bit risky because you will have the Super Strain at level 16 from the Stukov that's going to sort of soft counter that. But having that guaranteed lockdown might be something that you really want when you're so burst focused and comboing is so important to you, with having Jaina be your only hyper carry and having Kerrigan be your only other really form of CC and damage. So a lot is going to come down to Vala, which will be Dino this game, I believe. Dino can pop off this game and win the game, and he can also get picked and they can lose. So see what happens.
We'll see what happens indeed. Justin, as always, thank you for your analysis and breakdown, because on the left-hand side, we got Oxygen, Esports, Bad Benny on the Joanna, Hazuubs on the Jaina, Nick on the Kerrigan, Yasu on the Cecil Steer Lucio, and we got Copen on the Urel. Over on the side of Chili Mountain, looking to put one up on the board for their score. Dino on the Vala, Masquerade on the Tyrael, Sylvanas played by Ultralist, Stukov played by Banana, and Dequaza on the Blaze. Of course, Grubby, you've heard from Justin and I already. I'm looking at an Oxygen win, but what do you think about this while we kind of see this back and forth in the beginning of Tomb?
Yeah, I'm wondering how the following thing is gonna play out, Bahamut. You've got Tyrael already that gives massive movement speed to every... Oh my god, Kerrigan down immediately. He tried to do a little bit of, let's stay out of the mid-brawl melee and just go clear this top wave out of synchronization with the usual four-man meet. So Nick Kerrigan goes top, and he got immediately taken down there by Banana H and Ultralisk, the Stukov and the Sylvanas. Now a little bit of fort damage as well. So Chili Mountain basically up to the same thing as what they were starting with in the last game. A little bit of siege damage. But I find the Jaina pick the most interesting besides Kerrigan, but I'm expecting weird picks from Nick now. Jaina offers a slow, but Tyrael offers a movement speed increase. Who cancels out who? Or maybe both, because people are fast and then Jaina slows them down. They're probably just normal again. So is that part of the idea here with Jaina, where you say, well, we want Lucio and we slow you back down to normal, so now we are the faster one? Because you can't stack speed increases. You can take Lucio and Zarya with speed barrier, you don't stack. So yeah, I guess that kind of made sense. So I find that interesting. And then you've got the synergy between Jaina and Kerrigan. Kerrigan is very feast and famine, like you said, and she's high risk, high reward. but she combines really well with mages that have AoE damage because she can get that big AoE stun pull towards you as well. So we can see a cool Blizzard Kerrigan combo. The problem with Kerrigan is she plays extremely poorly from behind.
Yeah. I would absolutely agree. When you can't land those combos, but also I'm going to hold that off because we have Ultralisk getting out with the Haunting Wave. There's going to be a jump propulsion from Dequaza connecting onto a few. Gets the AoE stun onto the side of Oxygen. Oxygen's Bad Benny is getting a little bit low here. Yasu playing on the side, trying to keep his friends sped up and healed. And it seems like the mid lane siege will end, but still, Chili Mountain continuing to do this siege, this initial siege onto these fort front gates to open things up for the potential Web Weaver phase. Nick going in has to back away, and that's exactly what you're talking about, Grubby. We see Nick use the Ravage to go in, and then he's immediately just walking away. He's just trying to get away. Yasu does have the speed boost, but you also have the speed boost of Tyrael to chase in. And the one thing I want to note here, and I really didn't consider this until we were already in the game, is I'm undervaluing Masquerade's Tyrael, because he's, in my opinion, one of the few Tyrael players we've had in CCL in 4, 5, 6, whatever seasons you want to count them, because we did have Celebrity Clash League. He's the only one to ever prove to me that someone can really, really make Tyrael work in these competitive games. So I'm excited to see what Masquerade can do with this, as we also have that Lurking Arm out from Banana. And Masquerade constantly sieging, but he's never feeling like he's in any sort of major threat. He's got the Eldruin's Might to back away, or Speed, or Stukov healing. It's looking comfortable for Chili Mountain at the start here, but rotations are key. We do have turning potential first to the side of Chili Mountain.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say and point out, Bahamut, because Tyrael is a very difficult hero to make work for a team. He's hard to play individually. He's very creative, kind of like an artist, able to do so many different things with his kit. None of it really easy, like a power slide mosh pit, may get a 5-man mosh pit and just win the fight. No, everything Tyrael does is hard. Masquerade is pretty much the one that proves that it can still be done. Because he used to be really a top pick during much of the olden days HoTS Esports. It hasn't really worked much in CCL yet. Masquerade, though, he gets it done. So watch him closely if you enjoy a good bit of Tyrael.
I'm just skimming through some of the talents as well. We got earlier on, we did go for the Mana Addict, or the Fingers of Frost for the Jaina. She's already at 13 out of the 20 on that one. Joanna does have the Subdue. You're also going to be seeing that Subdue at level 4 because she did have some changes in between the season. She also is going to be going to that Zealous Glare at level 1. That also does have an additional charge. It was nerfed down a little bit. It used to be 125% more damage. Now it's 75. Kerrigan sitting at 28 out of the 75 stacks on the Sharpened Blades. Vala at 12 out of the 20 on the Fire at Will. That is an uncapped quest and will continue to build up. It'll continue to build up in damage, and we'll keep you up to date on that one. The big thing is when Vala hits the 20, she has 40 damage, but then she gets an additional 40 from the rewards. So she'll be having 80 extra damage, and that will continue to scale by 2 damage, as well as the baseline scaling. But this turn-in has been delayed by both teams, slowly getting a couple gems in here and there, Grubby, as 10 talent tiers are about a level and a half away for both sides.
Yeah, and if you're watching the solo lane battle on the minimap and wondering what's going on there, nothing. They are unable to kill each other, so they're just clearing lanes and denying each other from turning in. Blaze has enough to turn in, but Urel does not, so she's playing a passive job there. Now, Kerrigan wants to get that big Ravage quest damage in. Chili Mountain knows that, so they're trying to pressure Kerrigan as much as possible so she doesn't get free Ravage stacks, but she's going to get that anyway. Bad Benny's dropping pretty low. I'm checking if he has Iron Skin available. He does, so this is very much a bait. He clicks it right on time. There's a big combo, and Vala gets blown up. That is the first kill here for Oxygen.
First kill on the map, as we do have a cornered Masquerade. He gets the Eldruin's Might, but there is a Yasu predicting the direction and is able to get the kill. Now, the other thing I want to note here really quickly is that was a few gems dropped by the side of Chili Mountain. They may have gotten the turn-in through the Blaze in the bottom, if I'm not mistaken, but quite a few gems will drop. While these Web Weavers descend, can we take a look and see how that fight went, Grubby?
Yeah, let's take a look at it. You see there Bad Benny kind of playing with that low health. You see Stukov maybe trying to go for the kill, but the Iron Skin was just in time. And it is a numerical advantage now, but it basically started as a 4-on-4. Oh, Vala gets deleted again. Sanctification unable to come out in time. Of course, I think Stukov maybe got interrupted on the massive shove. I see that on a 4, 5, 6 second cooldown. So another kill there for Oxygen. That's going to help them a lot to reduce the damage by the Web Weavers here.
Good blessed shield from the Janna was the setup for that one as Ultralisk is being chased by Yasu. Yasu wants to try and get the kill, but he can't find it. The sound wave sort of pushing Ultralisk into a safe spot, but there was also the healing pathogen out. Jaina just now finishing out her Fingers of Frost, so she will also have that 10% frostbite damage increase, so more burst ability from Hazuabs as we continue to see his build. And oh man, I love the ice flows at level 7 for Hazuabs. This is such a great talent because if the enemy kind of groups up, which Blaze, Tyrael, Stukov, they kind of want to group up a little bit, you can find massive value with that ice flows cooldown reduction as well. And now the Webweaver phase ending. Here comes Copen jumping into the backline, focusing onto Ultralisk, but over on the top left of the screen. Maybe I sung the praises of Masquerade too early in this series because that is another kill onto Tyrael. We have Copen getting low, but Yasu comes through with the heal, and Copen still had the Ardent Defender available if he really wanted to use it, as massive high fives from Yasu come through. Copen looking for another engage here. Tyrael dead for 2 seconds.
Wow, Dino trying to run away. He got condemned there. He got slowed by the punish and blind as well. He's trying to make it out, but Yasu is here. He's coming to run him down. Reverse amp is activated, and Vala falls once again. That's death number 5, death number 3 for Vala, death number 5 for the team in general. Oxygen, very nice job there. It was really cool when you saw Bad Benny coming in. He had a fairly attractive target in Vala for his blessed shield, and she was in range. But his teammates were not in range. So he went instead for what seems to be the much harder Tyrael, hit the pure blessed shield on him. This allowed for the Kerrigan combo follow-up. And Bad Benny made the right choice. His whole team was able to pile on to Masquerade and take him down. When Tyrael is between Eldruin's Might cooldowns, he does not have that teleport away ability. He doesn't have the 25 armor from the level 4 talent. He's quite squishy. Small hitbox though, so not easy to hit, but Oxygen executed perfectly.
We also are going to be seeing that 13 talent tier advantage to the side of Oxygen as they siege in with their first Webweaver phase of the game. If my caster math does serve me correct, yes, they will have back-to-back turn-ins so long as they don't hemorrhage some deaths right here. That was a big lurking arm from Stukov with the ever-so-coveted low blow from level 1. And the mid lane fort will start to fall. Bad Benny just putting on some pressure, pops the Iron Skin, Kerrigan, and the Yrel putting pressure in bottom lane as Tyrael clears out top. That is going to be vision seen to the side of Oxygen Esports. They will respect the enemy. They're backing away. 9 seconds on the clutch to be able to turn in. And they have 85 on the pocket in the pocket of Oxygen Esports. Even talent tiers for now. But look at the minimap here, Grubby. It feels like Chili Mountain's starting to turtle up a little bit. They're really not stepping out as far as they were early game.
Yeah, that's true. They're unable to, you know. On a map like this, 3 lanes are so close together. And you've got Yasuops making that seem even smaller. The entire map is blue and unfriendly and hostile to Chili Mountain. They don't have the vision, they don't have the push. Now they're against the Web Weavers once again. And how do they initiate a fight? We have no judgment. We have no Hanzo arrow. All that we can do is Stukov doing a virulent reaction from afar, but he doesn't have that talent. So it's just slows and movement speed. So it's really hard to force anything for Chili Mountain. There's going to be a pause. We don't know what's happening. We have a pause here by Chili Mountain at a very strange time. We have a triple stun Blessed Shield coming out here with Bad Benny hitting the stun on... I'm checking, who was that there in the front? On Vala. She is exposed. Nick, relatively close, pretty much in Ravage and combo distance. And there's no cleanse. So it's all going to be down to whether Masquerade can hit the Sanctification. And while you guys can't see the screen right now, I can. Masquerade is not stunned. So it will be down to, can he hit that Sanct quickly enough? He's got the time to think about it now. Or can Nick interrupt him from afar? We're ready again, Bahamut. Not much time to analyze.
I'm so excited about this. The one thing that I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at the cooldown for Nick's Ultralisk because it's off. And I'm wondering if he's going to launch that out right when we get back into the game. Here it is. We're back into the fight. Sanctification will be utilized. Wailing Arrow as well. The Ultralisk was summoned by Nick. It is going to fall right there as the mid lane Webweaver does decay. Speaking of the decay, looking at the top lane Webweaver, it is pushing quite heavily into that lane. But my apologies to the observer. I'm juking you left and right because there's a bit of a scuffle in the mid still happening. Nick trying to maybe step in here. Blizzard's down from Hazuabs, does finish his ice block. There's going to be a great combo onto Masquerade. Nick gonna take some damage here, won't fall. And for anyone wondering, the big thing also with that Tyrael trait, that explosion, is he gets 10% off of his death timer per enemy hero hit. So it is advantageous for Masquerade to always at least hit one enemy hero with that death explosion. But with the Webweaver phase ending, that was the second one for the side of Oxygen. They're going to need another 14 gems, which is a couple rotations here. On the opposing side, Chili Mountain, they need 55. They've got 79. But as I mentioned before the pause, look at that positioning. Look how far they can step out. Mid lane, they can step by their fort. Here, it's getting risky. There's also a deficit in the talent tier.
So instead of doing the standard thing here, Chili Mountain clearing the siege camp, which would reveal all of their positions, they are setting a trap in the most unlikely of places. If they can get a combo here on Oxygen, Banana H, is he going to try? Oh, Masquerade kind of showed that they're there. I wonder what's the story there. I thought that it was either going to be a concerted effort to quickly sneak a pay, or if they were trying to trap someone looking to gank the solo laner that's clearing the siege camp. But either the story wasn't sold correctly by Chili Mountain, or Oxygen Esports already had their sights set on a further horizon, the boss, and not trying to push deep into a bot lane that had already lost its fort. Oxygen playing it safe, Chili Mountain not getting any opportunities.
And this is the mid lane fort to fall. Top lane boss still pushing in as well. About a quarter, a little bit, maybe a little bit more than that, or less, as we are seeing a bunch of experience go over the side of Chili Mountain. Boss dropping to about 50%. The keep in top lane starting to take some significant damage. Haunting Wave from Sylvanas will be utilized. You see the retreat ping. Dequaza, yeah, I don't see the rest of your team coming in as well, so Dequaza will back away. 96 gems in the pockets of Chili Mountain. But on the opposing side, Oxygen has found a few picked up, and only 12 are necessary. Nick's got 13. Here comes another Webweaver phase. I know we did Oxygen last game, but do you want to jump into Oxygen again, see how they're going to push in with these Webweavers?
I think it is fitting. They are leading. I'm sure we'll get a chance to listen to Chili Mountain in Game 3 if nothing else. Let's go into Oxygen comms.
Here we go.
No. Unless they're super split.
I will kill this. I will kill this. I use combo though.
Yeah, we see Silp top.
Get a bot wave, Ira, so we get closer
Yeah.
to 20.
I'm coming.
Sprint.
It's a very
We play
fad
top,
one.
right?
Yeah, but we play. I don't think we get top for a keep, guys.
Can
Don't
keep
give
them
them.
there.
Don't give them the random fight here. But
Place is mid.
actually, can we kill him?
No.
I'm playing mid.
Yeah, he has resets, right?
He doesn't have a reset on that one, I don't think.
I'm coming mid. Fuck this. There's nothing to do up here.
Blaze is
Can
top
look at the
right.
wall.
Okay, Blaze dance.
They are
Yeah,
killing
hard
me at
up
the
here.
wall. Yeah.
Playing hard.
Combo.
I use silence.
He has a
I
reset.
think he
That's
got a
reset.
reset. Maybe
Let's
too high
Q
now.
out. Let's Q
Okay.
out.
He
Playing
has
the
a reset, I guess.
I'm holding my spells.
Yeah, I don't want
I
to.
think he got reset now.
Come out.
But no, Tyrion now.
Material?
Get out after the kill. Wait,
I'm at the tab after here.
I have a cleanse for you.
they're blinded. Wait cooldown still, wait cooldown still.
Bot is smurfing them.
Yeah,
You can still look mid.
as long as we don't get killed by a
They're
Blaze.
leaving mid.
They use silence, no? This hill?
Yeah, they missed silence.
Blinded.
Because all.
I'm
We're tanking it now. I'm stopping
I
the
cancel,
back
I cancel
line
it.
for a bit.
I come out.
Oh.
They're on me. Behind me. Are we alive? Well,
Yeah.
I ulted.
Very good.
We
Got
still
bot keep.
play.
Top wave, level 20. Do easy camp, I think, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm going.
I'm just basing.
It's hard to leave those comms because there's so much interesting stuff happening with the way that Hazuabs is really leading. And the biggest thing that I really like about what we heard from Hazuabs on that Jaina was, I'm holding my spells, and they were looking for a target. And then once again, just like on Garden of Terror, they see Masquerade, they pop that Blessed Shield, and they find a kill, Grubby. Some really, really cool moments in those comms.
Yeah, I love that so much. I remember from last season when the team was like microing Greymane's inner beast all the time. I mean, you gotta know if your damage dealer has their combo available. Just like when Hazu said that he was gonna clear the Bruiser camp, but I will use my combo, aka all three basic abilities will be on cooldown. Don't start anything in the next 16 seconds. It's really heads up. It was clean. It was calm. They know how to finish out this game. Get level 20. Get the easy camp. which is now pushing. There's a Blessed Shield on Blaze. They're going to try to perma-stun him so he can't use Bunker. And they do it! Perfect execution there. Complete 100-0. Keep in mind that Bunker is uninterruptible if you click it during even 1 frame of availability. So that was a very impressive deletion.
The deletion comes through. We will continue to see actually Lucio fall in the bottom lane over here, playing a little too aggressive against Ultralisk, and our Rock Lobsters in bottom will be cleared out. Not enough for a turn-in, and if anyone's wondering, I can check it for you. 40 seconds on the boss for the top lane. Kerrigan and the crew, well, at least actually 2 players are showing in top. Hazuobs and Joanna Bad Benny were kind of floating in the bushes over there, but some gems look like they're going to be turned in, so that way if any sort of fight goes south for the side of Oxygen, they're not going to be losing out too much, and they'll have, actually, no, they're going to be holding onto a few gems here. So I thought it was 1 person with 9 in general, but it's going to be 3 on 3 different heroes. And we do have Bad Benny just anchoring. This is what I was talking about in map number 1 with Bad Benny sitting in the bush, mounted as that John on the top right of your screen. It's just this is good tanking. This is something that I've been learning playing games and talking a lot with Justing in the off season. It's just when you're a tank, you don't need to be sitting there hitting the wave. You can be in the bush and that's more of a threat than you just sitting there burning abilities on wave clear. But here comes the Web Weaver for Chili Mountain with 20 talent here, a sliver away. What can Chili Mountain do? Will they be able to push back against Oxygen?
Well, they got that turn in finally. It's taken long enough, and they waited until they got their Storm tier talents, but they're down to a single half keep. There's situations where this objective doesn't even get a single fort. Definitely conceivable. In fact, the road to victory for Chili Mountain isn't just to wipe 1 team fight. They need to do it twice.
And they're going to need also back-to-back Web Weavers here. I feel like this first one will start to push up the waves, maybe find a little damage onto the forts. But the next one, that's the one that should get value because it pushes up further. Here comes Bad Benny with a lot of damage. Iron Skin. Oh, no, wait, that's a Blessed Shield coming through. Yasu pushing people around as we have the bunker down from Blaze. Wailing Arrow from Sylvanas will connect. Nick's still trying to clear the wave as that's a lot of damage onto Copen, who pops the Ardent Defender and goes from like 10% to 90%. Tyrael goes down, gets the explosion. I don't know if it counts on Nick there. He was in the Chrysalis. Nick goes in for a big combo. Nick's on a sliver of HP. Will be traded for the Vala, but look at this. Just absolute massacre for the side of Oxygen. This is looking exactly like the end of game number 1. Oxygen have held their breath long enough. Chili Mountain, once again, white. Oxygen finds the ace. Oxygen, no keep in the way, runs through mid, and Grubby. This is a good series right here. I know it was 13-3 in kills, but the back and forth in this match number 2 is so great. But Oxygen will be coming out on top. They will slowly but surely burn down this core. Man, Grubby, what a great game number 2.
Yeah, what a fantastic fight. Every single member of Oxygen availed themselves so heroically. When Nick on Kerrigan got the message, they said, "We've got some bad news for you. You cannot get out of this fight alive." And he's like, "What do you mean? I can't?" "Yeah, you can't get out of it." "Okay, I'll take one of them with me." And he ravaged in and he tried to hit his combo and he took one down and he did go down as well. But it set the tone for the rest of the fight as Oxygen turned on the clamps and managed to wipe everybody else. It was always going to be a desperate gambit at this stage in the game with half a keep against 6 forts. And while several forts fell during that, this team fight decided the game. Relatively favorable circumstances there for Chili Mountain. They tried to blow up Copen, and I think really that's where it went wrong. They got Copen from 100% down to 10. The Stuk of Silence tried to come out as well to stop him from pressing his ult, the Absorbent Defender. But it was just a frame too late. He managed to press it, and like you said, that healed him up back to 90%. With Copen surviving, that was the beginning of the end. And once again, like so many fights, Masquerade Sanctification was interrupted. It's hard to say who did it, but any one of the 4 members of Oxygen could have done it outside of Hazuop. So whoever did that, major props. No Sanct in the fight, no win. It was a difficult comp. We pointed out the problems. With Tyrael, this time it didn't fly.
I gotta draw. Can we go back to the damage stats really quickly, production? Because I need to call out something very, very specific right here. I just want everyone at home to take a quick look at, when it comes to the stats page, the damage from Joanna and Jaina. Justin, there's a 42 damage difference between Jaina and Johanna, the main tank versus the main ranged assassin. Kind of crazy, Justin. I had to point this out.
Yeah, I was hoping that the broadcast couldn't hear that. I was just typing that in. I put Bad Benny 42 less damage than Jaina because that was a performance for sure. I'm gonna give Bad Benny the MVP for me again this game. It really feels like both these games. No disrespect to Masquerade, but it felt like absolute tank dip coming out from Bad Benny. Bad Benny has been playing phenomenally. We haven't seen the other teams of Season 4 yet, but right now Bad Benny is looking like he's going to be the best tank of Season 4 already. Like it's only been 2 games, but he's playing so well. I had talked about potentially going into the Blessed Shield, even though we pretty much never see that just because it combos so well with their composition. He did make that adaptation. He goes for the Blessed Shield, and you could hear it in their comms too. In the first game, Bad Benny was pretty much in charge of all the comms. He was calling all the engages and everything. And in this game, Hasuab's had a lot more impact in the comms. It felt like Hasu was really leading it, but Bad Benny was leading the engages, which I think is kind of the perfect dynamic for you when you play as that tank. This was the moment that kind of began the downfall of Chili Mountain as well. They're basically in a 5 versus 3 at the start of this fight. It's a 5v4 at the start of this fight, and they get the turn-in, though, after they lose kills, and that's pretty much the worst situation to be in. You see Blaze goes down and actually turns in. I thought that Oxygen turned in the moment, and then I realized, no, it was actually Chili Mountain. And you can hear the restraint in the comms too by Oxygen. They certainly understand what their composition does, and they understand that Chili Mountain's composition is a sustained comp, and they don't really have any engaged threat of their own. So Oxygen was just waiting patiently. You could hear it in the comms. Bad Benny would say, okay, I'm throwing out my Bless now. Like, is everyone ready? Like, everyone would get prepared. Then they'd have the Jaina combo come out, the Kerrigan combo come out. It was all off of the Bless Shield from Johanna by Bad Benny. And Copen is the MVP for the last fight. With the really close call here, that ends up being a bait. If Copen goes down there, they might get snowballed on, and they might just lose 2 more turn-ins and potentially have a comeback for Chili Mountain. But being able to get that Ardent Defender off, being able to survive and bait those cooldowns and wait for the turnaround from the rest of the team, really well done by Copen. He's been looking really well in both, really good in both these games so far, and just a lot of restraint coming out from Oxygen. And it's nice to see that they understand their team's win condition so well. In both of these games, they had a similar one where they don't have great siege on their own. They're playing just to get picks and just to get kills with their CC and their chaining of CC. And it seems like they're playing that nearly perfectly into a composition that if they mess up just one combo, they'll get ran over. And that's something that we heard in the comms too from Bad Benny. As soon as they got the pick, he's not gassing them up like, let's go, let's keep fighting. Come on, guys, we got to kill. It was run. It was, we got 1 kill, leave. Because they know that they're playing into a sustained comp with Sylvanas and the Vala, that if they use all the resources to get 1 pick, if they continue fighting, that's how the other team wins. So that understanding by Bad Benny being displayed there in the comms, really important, because not only is he playing well, but he's also directing his team into doing something important, because you could tell the team, you get that kill, you kind of want to go in, but the right thing is to not. And yeah, just really well played by Oxygen, all being on the same page and being able to play this combo style, non-siege, just pick-oriented comp really, really perfectly.
Oxygen, man, they are just breathing fuel into the flames for themselves. It feels like they just are nearly unstoppable. There's a couple little wobbles here and there in the first 2 maps that we've seen so far in this best of 5 series, but Chili Mountain are the ones who are kind of really falling to just these consistent chain CC or even the burstability of Oxygen. So it has been extremely, extremely exciting for this first series today, and we're not done just yet. Right now, we're going to take a short little break. In that break, I encourage you to use !prize pool if you'd like to check out the Matcherino or, push that prize pool a little bit further. We're at $1,000 because of your generous donations. Thank you all so much for supporting, watching, and being here for week number 1 of HeroesCCL. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to find out, will Oxygen 3-0 Chili Mountain, or will Chili Mountain rise to the occasion and start taking us to some further maps? Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name is still Bahamut, still joined by Justin and Grubby as always, and we are in our first best of 5 of the day. We've seen 2 fantastic maps from the side of Oxygen. Chili Mountain, they still look very, very strong, but Oxygen are our top contender right now in this series. And of course, before we get into our next map, our third map, which could be the final one in this first best of 5 of the day, we got 2 of them coming at you. Grubby, what'd you get up to on the break? How you doing? You ready for more heroes? You cozy, you comfy, you got some coffee, some tea? What's up?
I got some Senpai.
A what?
Senpai. It's like made from soybean, kind of a fried snack. Maybe I can make one for you if you ever visit the Netherlands.
Is it close to natto?
I
Fermented
have
soy?
no idea what that is.
Okay.
Isn't that the
Fermented
coalition of defense in Europe?
No, that's NATO.
You said
Natto
it,
is fermented is fermented soybean. When I worked at a sushi place, they used to eat it. It smells so awful, but they swear by it.
No, this doesn't smell awesome, awful. It's awesome.
Holy crap!
What did you
Actually,
get up to?
I have to just not talk about what I did because production just said $1,000, but I'm looking over at the bottom right of our.
Oh damn!
Yeah, that's
So nice.
That's extremely generous of you, Heroes of Storm community. Thank you seriously to whomever donated.
Wow.
So much. Like we literally yesterday when we were doing tech, like the dress rehearsal, we were at 450. Before the broadcast started today, someone donated more. We hit 1,000, and just during a break, we go to 3,500. Thank you everyone for supporting HeroesCCL, supporting Heroes of the Storm. Seriously, that is amazing. That is extremely generous from all of you, and thank you once again. We really do appreciate it. You know what we're gonna have to do, Grubby, Justin? We're gonna have to figure out a little schedule as to whose pet comes on stream for some of these donation goals, because I'm sure we're not far off from one of our pets getting some treats here on the stream. But of course, let's continue talking about our series here, because we do have Oxygen versus Chili Mountain, and we can actually let everyone know where we're going to for map number 3, and I can start getting Justin to break down some ideas as what we could see for draft. This is going to be another Chili Mountain map pick. Interesting. So this will be the map pick of Chili Mountain choosing to take us. Actually, I think the graphic might be backwards because it says blue pick. So I'm going to assume that it's going to be Oxygen that's actually choosing to take us to Towers of Doom. We'll get that confirmed a little bit later for all of you at home if you are wondering. But we are going to be heading to Towers of Doom for map number 3. Justin, of course, this is my favorite map to cast. This is one of my favorite maps to play on. I have to get, of course, your thoughts, your breakdown, your analysis, or leading into this map.
Yeah, this is an exciting map for sure for competitive. You can have really kind of back and forth games where it feels one-sided up until the very end, up until the point where it isn't, and you kind of have a break point where the other team can start taking control. It's definitely an interesting map. It's very volatile, and it'll be interesting to see whether Oxygen is able to continue to be dominant. In the last game, from a macro perspective, it felt like they sort of made a bit of a blunder near the end there, using their gems a little bit too early and not getting an opportunity to end with their spiders with their level 20 advantage. And they did manage to win that team fight in the mid lane that kind of made up for that. But macro-wise, they were sort of running out of steam, which showed a little bit of weakness in Oxygen that Chili Mountain had an opportunity to capitalize on had they won that last team fight. So we'll see if they slip a little bit here on Towers of Doom, because it's definitely possible, because that last game wasn't a perfectly clean execution as the first game was a little bit more clean for them.
And I did double check really quickly if anyone was, just to clarify things on that graphic we just saw. All maps so far today have been chosen by Oxygen. Just wanted to confirm that with all of you. So all the losses, or, you know, since the start, Chili Mountain has been opting in for first pick priority, which does make a lot of sense with what we've seen in previous seasons. I was starting to be blown away. I was like, what is this new meta of just only map picking here? So it's very interesting, Grubby. But of course, I want to get your thoughts as well for Towers of Doom. It is the best map to go main tank Murky, right?
I think Murky can actually be good. I lost to Murky yesterday on Towers of Doom.
I agree.
And, you know, Towers of Doom, I think, is also the kind of map, Justin, I don't know if you guys agree, that that creates a need for therapy. And I'm not talking about, like, you know, deep, difficult, emotional, personal life therapy. I mean, the very window that is not, the very gap in the market that's not being filled yet. Gaming therapy. We're not going to talk about childhood trauma. We're just going to talk about gaming trauma. So, like, games that you should have won, but lost, and why it happened. I actually think there is a market for talking about these things. Just with gamers, we don't travel too deep. Just processing the grief, because I had so many heartbreaking losses yesterday on Storm League. Towers of Doom was one of them. We had the whole map. We took all the forts. We got the kills. We just needed to not get horrified over the tower line. Guess what happened?
Oh no, you got horrified over the tower line, didn't you?
How did that make you feel, though, Grubby?
Oh god.
Like, a man can only take so much grief until they break.
I think we've all suffered. I think we've all suffered that on Towers of Doom, because I can actually literally think back to like a month ago. I was playing with friends on Towers of Doom, and I remember like I called for one engagement. I was main tank, and I was like, "We can do this. We can go for this engagement." And that was the throw moment. And like I still think about it, I'm just like, wouldn't agree. What a horrible call. Why don't make those shot calls, Chris? But either way, let's talk about this Towers of Doom game, because we got some professional players here. Oxygen leads in the series 2-0. This could be the final map in this first best of 5, and we are flying through the bans here. Nothing really out of the ordinary per se, Justin, right?
A little bit weird here on the second ban, but otherwise, no. We do see the Vikings being banned away. That's some respect given over to Hasuabs, a seasoned esports veteran, being able to play things like StarCraft extremely well, being very good at the Vikings with that micro that he's got. So Lucio being taken away from Yasu, and just a lot of pressure already being created in the draft for Oxygen, being able to get a ban on Hammer and Vikings. In the last game, the Hammer ban made a little bit more sense because they also banned out the Chromie, which is probably Hammer's #1 counter. This game, that's not the case, so just a lot of respect for that Hammer. And Lucio being picked up, being traded over for Blaze and Hanzo. So this will be the first game that Chili Mountain is not getting that Blaze for their first pick.
It's very interesting. Grubby, any thoughts on the draft unfolding in front of us?
Yeah, they felt Yasu's power on Lucio in the last game, coming in from Oxygen. So they're taking that away from him in this game with Banana Age going for it. Stukov was their last pick, but somehow, despite his strength and versatility, he didn't work out for Chili Mountain, and also he doesn't have a cleanse. This time there will be access to at least 2 cleanses if Chili Mountain wants it. High Five from Lucio and Abolish Magic from Dino. So we see the stuns coming in already from Blaze and Hanzo, and now there's that option to block some of that. It has been fairly CC. I mean, let's put it this way. Oxygen CC has been layered very effectively, whether they had gratuitous CC like in game 1 or just enough. No, actually, they had a lot in game 2 as well. So it's been a lot of CC. This time, I think Chili Mountain is adapting to that stun train kill fiesta that has been happening. And they now have the most cleanse you could possibly have from 2 heroes.
If this is a Tychus or a Greymane ban, I'm all Cho'Gall for Chili Mountain, because we did a how to draft Cho'Gall video with Justin and I, and this is kind of lining up as to how you would draft Cho'Gall. You've got range damage, you've got a great solo laner, Dahaka can top mid extremely easily, Lucio's got the speed boost, he's got Sound Barrier or High Five, you already mentioned Abolish Magic, this could be a Cho'Gall. The copium is here, chat. But anyways, Justin, of course, I want to get your thoughts on what we could actually realistically see.
It's close. They needed a little bit more wave clear instead of that Lunara. I think they're looking to go that route. We could potentially see an Abathur and something weird come out. We did see the Genji ban, which he was recently buffed a little bit in the most recent patch, so it's cool to see him banned out. I would have rather seen him played, but it's nice to see that after the patch he's being thought about at least. Mm-hmm. And Abathur is something that Chili Mountain could look to go into still. Their 3 heroes that they've picked so far work really well with him. Muradin is still available if they want to go for a very traditional Abathur style comp. It might be a little bit difficult to play into what Oxygen is drafting so far. They're very safe. It's almost like the drafts have swapped from the previous games. I do like that they took the Lunara and the Lucio with those cleanses right away, preemptively, because Oxygen had been drafting exclusively the CC heavy style. Muradin for their last pick. I like that. I think by the end of this season, Muradin will not be ever available for the last pick. I think he's that strong. We'll see if Masquerade goes the same build that Bad Benny went in game 1, which I think is just by far the best build for him. I think that is what makes him, in my opinion, OP as a tank and super flexible as a tank. Oxygen now in a different situation from the previous games where they are the team that has more of the sustained damage composition. They don't have the CC. The roles are completely reversed. So it'll be interesting to see if either of these teams are able to play the other style that has been picked so far. The Chili Mountains draft, very CC focused, very burst heavy. Lunara, a lot more of a burst hero now, a lot less of a poke hero than she used to be. Now with that Q level 7, you're mostly looking to just burst people and one-shot them off of CC. You have Ultralisk playing the Maiev, which combos extremely well with things like the Isolation level 20 on the Haka and things like the Muradin just jumping in. Hopefully we see the slow for Muradin at level 7 to just have more AoE CC. And it's going to be a lot of pressure on Oxygen on their front line, on Hanzo, on Cassia, to kind of stay safe. They do have Yasu playing the Anduin to get a pull if anything gets too crazy. And they do have Blaze and Tyrael with the Bunker and the Sanctification if they get comboed a little bit too hard, if they group too much. but Oxygen is going to have to make an active effort to not clump up at all and to kind of whittle away at the enemies slowly, which is difficult to do into Lucio. So it's very interesting. The team styles have completely swapped from the previous 2 games. It'll be cool to see if Oxygen still looks dominant when they're not the ones with all the CC.
Well, thank you as always, Justin, for the deep thoughts on these drafts, and we'll see how correct you are at the end of this game, because we got Oxygen in the blue, we got Bad Benny on the Tyrael, Hazu on the Hanzo, Nick on the Cassia, Copen on the Blaze, and Yasu on the Anduin. Over in the red, Chili Mountain, Ultralisk on the Maev, Dequaz on the Dahaka, Dino on the Lunara, Banana on the Lucio, and Masquerade to play the Muradin. We'll see if Chili Mountain can take us to a map number 3. I'm leaning into an Oxygen win. You know me, Grubby. I love as much Heroes of Storm as possible. If I could have my way, I'd have 10 maps every single weekend, or excuse me, 20 maps every single weekend, but that's not the case. We'll get your thoughts here in just a second, because the fight will break out. That's a lot of damage onto the Dahaka, who does burrow into the ground. Lucio amps it up. Banana trying to help out the team as Masquerade Dwarf tosses back to get some of that Dwarf block armor. But of course, Grubby, gotta hear your thoughts on the drafts and anything in between.
I think one really cool interaction to look out for at level 10 is that synergy between Anduin and Bad Benny. If Bad Benny throws Eldruin's Might forward, that's well, besides actual communication, but just throwing the sword forward, that is a prompt for Yasu to hit him with the Light Bomb. Tyrael will speed himself up with Smite, teleport into the opponent, and then with 140% movement speed, which is 10 more than Mount, by the way, he can follow people with a Light Bomb attached to him. And that is going to be a strong engage that is normally lacking for Tyrael, and that was lacking for Chili Mountain last game. Additionally, they have paired up the Tyrael, who can be a lackluster engage hero, with a ranged assassin, one of the rare ones that has engage. Hanzo from Hanzo Ops. So Hanzo really helps at the pro level, and really indeed for anyone with Dragon Arrow, when your tank has trouble engaging, like late game Garrosh, that cannot play out of vision because people are not making the mistake of bush checking, or like a Tyrael, or sometimes a Johanna or a Stitches. So I love the combination that Oxygen has put together here for a Tyrael pick, a whole lot more than what we saw last game. I think it's going to be cool, and it's something to look out for at level 10.
Like my brain always wants the fun, crazy talents. I'd love to see the Pretzel and some Judgment, but I think, Light Bomb Judgment could be cool, but I think Sanctification is going to be such a imperative tool with the burst ability, and also, you look at Ultralisk, we could see Containment Disc, a short cooldown, has the 1.5 second silence, if I'm not mistaken, after it does end, and so Sanctification, I think, is still going to be really good just to save someone after that Containment Disc, or if we see Warden's Cage, you pop that inside the Warden's Cage, you're kind of okay inside of all of that. It's also a good way to mitigate the damage over time from Lunara, because she should be quite bursty as the game does progress. The expectation is that she will be going into the Noxious Blossom at level 7, with this Blossom Swell already at level 4. First objective phase of the game, typically top left and right are traded out, and we'll see the big contest over the center. But speaking of center, middle of the map, Bad Benny and Nick are just getting reset on by Ultralisk with these Fan of Knives. Some scatter arrows out from Hanzo. Azuab sitting at 17 out of the 20 for that level 1, which is going to give him a couple extra scatters when he does land that off of a wall. Trade off the solo laners, and Grubby, here comes the big contest.
Yeah, that final contested one, that is going to be a big thing. And take a look at the solo laners. The Haka is top. He could potentially burrow. He's actually hiding. He goes back into the wave. So there's going to be a stall attempt by Chili Mountain, while the Haka gets level 7 first. Then he may indeed burrow in, and I'm checking his cooldown. Yes, of course, he's got Brush Stalker available. We have a 5-second window now where there's a talent lead. Will it be utilized?
The Ultralisk is trying to go in with the Spirit of Vengeance, the blinds, the snipe! Hanzo finds first blood. Dequaza comes in with the flank brushstock. There's the leap of faith you mentioned earlier. That's so good from Bad Benny, who turns around. He's got some great healing with that desperate prayer. Nick trying to get the fadeaway shot onto Masquerade and Banana, but can't land it. Dequaza misses the drag. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be 8 shots going into the core of Chili Mountain. The members of Oxygen only taking 4 damage as the priority into Sapper Camp will begin. We do see the reset. I think there was a Hearth out from Anduin potentially. Might be going back for full mana. Actually, quite a few need mana here. Actually, everyone besides Blaze needs mana. I'm looking at the top bar and I'm like, holy crap. But this will be Sappers traded for bottom lane, and we'll see our next objective soon. We'll get a preview on the minimap in just a few seconds.
Note Note how every hero of Oxygen came back. You look at their mana pool. They're all at 95% because they're regenerating on the way. That is efficiency. Here's that fight once again, hitting right before they knew level 7 would be hitting. Oxygen, they get that kill on Ultralisk right before Dahaka would be coming in. Nice shot there. Scatter arrow finished during that battle. Hanzo jumps away. And then the pull on Tyrael was just insane. Bad Benny even moved the wrong direction for a second because he didn't expect that to be coming out.
During all of that, we had a little bit of a scuffle in bottom lane, but nothing really more than some abilities poked at each other. And as I mentioned, we're going to get that preview on the map. The next objective will be single in the bottom of the lane. You did just hear a big cackle in the background. That is the signifier that the boss is up and available. The standard in Heroes of Storm is bosses will spawn 5 minutes into a map, most camps spawning at the 1 minute mark. But this boss is unique as it does have kind of that global announcement. As we check out a fight in top lane, Dahaka tries to drag Copen off, and I think Dahaka was like, hold on, I can't see many enemies on the minimap. I should probably back out of this one. And there was a mass rotation as we have Cassia poking onto Lucio around the Sapper camp in the mid area. There is a dive onto Blaze in top lane, and there's 2 fights happening once here. We'll see if we can take a peek at both. And actually, Blaze gets out of top lane without any sort of real pressure applied to him.
Yeah, Ultras was just like helping clear Sappers. Maybe there was the thought that the Haka could stay on the Sapper point for that long and that Maiev would come in as a hero and would steal it and take it, but now it just seemed like helping a solo laner do their job, who didn't really ask for it. Level 10 is here for Oxygen. They are grouped up as 5 already. Now in comes the Haka. He knew exactly where he was going. Copen hits him with the stun to suppress his capabilities. Sanctification comes out and cleanses a little bit of Lunara poison damage at the very worst. But now Bad Benny lacks that powerful tool. We still have Light Bomb. So watch Bad Benny get back his next Eldruin's Might. It's at a 2-second cooldown. He's going to throw it after going for a pre-tap. Bad Benny goes in. He's going to throw the sword. And watch, oh no, the Light Bomb actually comes on Cassia. Well, she doesn't have the mobility to use it, so it missed.
Containment disc went onto Ando, and so no healing for a few seconds. Hanzo rips a huge stun onto the enemy side, and that does lock down Muradin long enough. His avatar does not keep him alive through all that burst ability, and with 10s on both sides, and most of those 10s actually utilized. Actually, I think probably everyone's got cooldowns. Maybe Lucio has a high 5 here and there, but 4 more shots rain into the core of Chili Mountain as Banana will get the push off, speeding into mid lane. Gonna Hearth out as Banana does need about half a health bar and a little bit more, or a little bit of mana as well. We should see the priority push into bottom lane. And Grubby, we've talked about in previous seasons, but we're under the impression that maybe sometimes a season's kicking off or people have come into Heroes of Storm and go, I don't know a ton about this game, or maybe every map. Why is bottom lane, while we have this lull for the time being, why is bottom so imperative for Towers of Doom?
Mid lane has no camps that help pushing. Top lane has 1 camp, but the bottom lane has 2 Sapper camps. These camps have a splash damage against heroes and minion waves and each other, and they have an explosive damage against buildings. Because there's so many Sappers here, you're most easily able to take down the bottom fort, and it also controls the objective. But the fight continues. A big Hanzo arrow comes in once again. A harrowing situation for Chili Mountain, no doubt. As nobody dies, Chili Mountain is able to disengage. Hanzo Ops hit that arrow on the front line there. It was kind of a save my own front line kind of moment. But yes, those Sapper camps, there's more of them in a singular lane than any other lane, and it controls 2 of the objectives. And Sappers that walk through bottom lane can also be used to score points against the enemy core. And therefore, there's the greatest potential when you control the enemy bottom fort to get those Sappers to walk over the tower line and into the core. Meanwhile, a cool kill and the very first takedown for Chili Mountain on Tyrael, Bad Benny.
And I wonder if Bad Benny was considering utilizing the Sanctification. It is a 90-second cooldown, and it's one of those things where I was looking at his health bar, looking at the positioning. If he pops it, I didn't look at his cooldowns. He could have had Eldruin's Might, but I think it's one of those situations where it's like, all right, my death timer's only 30, 40 or so seconds. It's not that long. My heroic timer's way too long in comparison. So saving this, I think, was the right call. Taking the death, getting a little death timer reduction with the explosion as well. And as we see that objective phase ending, we will see the Sapper camp for top lane. This does pull Blaze out of lane. They want to go for Blaze. Copen does have the bunker, pops it down. The bunker's dropping low. Hanzo, does he have a hero arrow to save the day? That is a Dragon's Arrow from mid lane. That is the full duration stun of 2 seconds, and Hazuab saves the day in top lane.
Be honest, Bahamut. If an arrow like that hit onto 4, would you check the minimap to see if other teammates are coming if you were Blaze, or would
Yes.
you stun into the 4 of them confidently?
No, I'll be honest. I'm a little bloodthirsty here, Grubby. I'll be honest. I think actually though, I think he might have used Jet Propulsion to try and get away, so it might have been on cooldown.
I
don't
think
know.
you're right.
I don't know the overall cooldown of Jet Propulsion. It's a 10 seconds, so yeah, it might have been off. But still, if it was off cooldown in this scenario, yes, I would have turned around and Jet Propulsioned right back into the enemy, of course.
1v4, emboldened by the big arrow.
Yeah.
Same here.
And then when I die, I would have been like, "Where's my team?"
Yeah. We are but mere mortals, and we prove it every day. But these guys, I'm not sure. In comes the double next objective phase. The Haka is still pushing in and building up a significant minion XP advantage for Chili Mountain. Half a level lead. He's coming in now with that enhanced agility. You can keep in mind, he's not visible on the map right now. Oh, cool drag tongue into what he knows is going to be an anchoring blaze. Pretty high level from Dayquaza. Just his aim was off.
And Dino's going to back away. This is objective phase still going. I was thinking maybe we jump into Chili Mountain comms, but I think it might be a little too late to jump in there because the fight seems like it's kind of just waffled and given over to the side of Oxygen. Not
I'd
the
like
fight.
it.
All right, you know what? Let's just go on in. We're going to Chili Mountain. Here we go.
I'll get wave pro.
I'm gonna get mid wave.
Disc and done.
Chill on me, I'm fine.
Getting mid, quick.
Can go Cassia now? She
Chill
gonna
has
get.
no cool.
Fuck. I'm out.
Place
Use
this
double.
We are kind of bad short.
Can you come here? We stand.
Turret, but
You're
I'm
gonna
in
get.
it for them, but
Yeah, I can stand on it. Fuck me.
not that bomb. City real.
Cow.
Hello.
no sank, no. I will tap,
Maybe I
you
can
guys
get
can
it
stall.
on.
They're kind of, they're
I don't
kind
have
of,
stall.
I don't know. I can't stall either.
He's there.
Banana? Oh. Maybe
No,
blade?
then.
No. Alright. They're kind of low, maybe you can look at it easy.
I have low.
If you force space to be here, that's kind of good.
I jump
Yeah,
on
he's,
it.
yeah, okay. You just get probably the 5. No.
I'm good. Stand.
They will bleed on the map, we're 1 level up. Maybe.
Look, Blaze.
Yeah, Blaze, we have him, I think.
Banana is dead. No. Yes. I'm dead as well.
Kill fast.
Okay.
Getting chased, I'm good.
Be ready to play our easy, ideally.
I have ult.
Okay, yeah, you can reset only. We have tick?
Yes.
Okay.
They're pushing bad
They will
mid.
run in, then, yeah. What?
Some very interesting moments in there, Grubby. Any thoughts as to what we heard, or just even what's happening and evolving on the map in front of us?
It felt and looked a little bit more solo to me. I don't
Yes.
think the full team synergy is there yet. Would you say that's fair to say or too harsh?
I think the containment disc moment is exactly what you just said perfectly. We didn't hear about containment disc. There was no call for looking for someone. Containment disc was used on Tyrael, and then they say, I got Tyrael. But that was more of a panic because
Yeah,
Ultralisk was dying on my Ev.
yeah, exactly. Like Muradin tried something, missed it, ran, he's like, I'm out. And people just did things by themselves. They're still really good players. May need a little bit more experience together. That's a light bulb with Cassia, kind of not the best thing to pull towards you, but the Haka has no choice in the matter. It's like eating your airplane ice cream too quickly, right when it comes out of the packaging. Have you ever had that? Your tongue gets stuck and it's hard to get it off for like 3 minutes. It's really painful. But can't get it off. The Haka got that Cassia into him. Now Muradin is dead. Consequences.
We have Hanzo grabbing the top left altar. We've got Blaze putting pressure onto the Dahaka on the top right of our minimap. And over in bottom lane, we have our third objective still being contested between Bad Benny and a few... Oh, wait, Hanzu Obs coming in here once again. There's a containment disc onto the Cassia. Bad Benny steps forward. There's a reverse amp from Banana, but the Eldrunes might back to the origin location. We are going to be seeing the Sword of Justice. No... holy ground, so no boss stealing ability, but I feel like Bad Benny is utilizing this maneuverability from the level 13 extremely well, being able to have more teleport options for the Tyrael. As you can see, he's going to be able to teleport back once again. Great showcase of that level 13. Good utilization throughout the game. As Murden Dwarf tosses in here, And I think that's more pressure than anything else.
Very interesting that Bad Penny also didn't feel the need to get the 25 armor at level 4. Instead has Tyrael basic attacks heal up a bit. Decent against the heavy front line, I suppose. Seems like a luxury pick. In comes an arrow, only on Murden. I guess kind of to save himself. There's a light bomb that misses on Blaze. They're chasing Masquerade. Light bomb takes him down to 114 health.
Some volleyball being played on Towers of Doom as Ultralisk gets the Spirit of Vengeance away. Banana should be able to push off, and Dino able to back away, poking at the enemy. But here are those sappers, as you mentioned earlier. They do have this charge explosion if they get into range. One will not... Well, it will go in. Actually, it does get the explosion. Banana delaying out. There's a drag onto Bad Benny. Masquerade will get the Dwarf Toss out. There's going to be an Umbral Bind onto 2 players, but the bunker comes down from the Blaze. Bad Benny still around 50% HP. Has the Sanctification. Doesn't even pop it. Is just going to go for the kill onto Maev. Banana backing away. And that is a kill onto Ultralisk as a camp is up and available for the bottom lane. This is also what you're talking about. If those sappers go over that line, the death zone as we've also called it, or the area where you got horrified into, Grubby. Sorry.
Not me and my teammates.
But if it gets
I'm
over
sure it
the
happened
line,
to me before.
if it gets over the line, then it will jump into the core. We have a double altar phase coming up next. So if 2 sappers go in and both altars are channeled, it's GG to the side of Oxygen.
Oh, yeah.
Not actually anymore because the math has just changed. They need boss now as well. They basically need both altars plus boss because boss is 4 shots.
Yeah, the sappers don't really matter, but like you don't know how things is gonna turn out. So 11 is nice, and now the 2 altars will represent 4 damage each. That would take them down to 7, and then boss would be 3. If they get both altars, that would be -1. So it's really hard to steal the right side altar ever for the blue team. So it's best not to tempt it, especially with the level lead here. In fact, I think Chili Mountain is stepping up to try and get both.
Chastise connects on to Banana, who's going to high-five away. There's going to be Masquerade Dwarf tossing in, trying to find some big damage onto Nick. That's a light bomb onto Nick. They goes off. The bunker's down from Blaze. Nick is trying to back away. Gets the blinds onto Dahaka. There's the Sanctification, but the drag will land. Dequaza's too low, and Dahaka will fall. Copen trying to back away on this Blaze. No bunker available. Anduin healing out of his mind. Yasu doing so well on that one. And 20 talents here has been achieved by Chili Mountain. If you're wondering what Maev's upgrade is, she has Vault of the Ward, and she just gained a secondary charge on that Vault of the Wards, her trait, so she is a lot more self-cleansing, but the fight does continue. Zoabs gets the stall over on the top left. We still have both altars up and available. Dahaka up in 30 seconds, Lunara on 30%, or 30, like, was it like 30 HP actually? I didn't see, ooh, wait, big arrow, here comes Grubby.
Oh, intentional block by Lucio in order to channel the altar, but it didn't work out because Masquerade reflexively sidestepped. Unless it was not intentional by Lucio and he got hit by a truck there, but I feel like it was intentional. He very deliberately moved into it. Though, yeah, we won't really know for sure. Either way, once it happened, you wish that Masquerade would keep channeling. Now suddenly it's win condition for Oxygen.
That was a really good arrow from Hazuabs with the level 20 bullseye. It does have that stun on it as well as the increased speed. Maev and friends are looking to maybe invade onto this camp. 20 apiece for both teams. Sanctification on 10-second cooldown. Dahaka putting some pressure onto the back line as we have a containment disc. The boss is leashed. You're going to see that health bar jumping back up to full. Ball lightning from Cassia going out. She doesn't have the infinite ball lightning. She's got the rock stopper at level 20. Blind on Lunara, but the damage goes on to Murden. Masquerade pops his avatar and oh my god! The scatter! And that right there with 3 dead, Lucio up in 5 seconds. Only a Maev and a Dahaka to defend, and Maev's all the way at the core. This is looking like map number 1. Our first series of HeroesCCL Season 4 will be going over to the side of Oxygen as it's 10-2, 20-20, but the cores will sit 25-0. GG, well played to Oxygen. Fantastic series, Grubby.
Absolutely fantastic series, Bahamut, and merciless in its execution and score. 3-0. We were kind of hoping for like a 3-2, 2-3, something along those lines. But as always, full respect to the team that doesn't bandy around, doesn't mess around, doesn't clown around, most of all, and takes that definitive 3-0 victory. Absolutely amazing play here coming out from Oxygen. Hazu did not grow fat and lazy during that season, that off season. His Hanzo was phenomenal at the end of season 3, and it is still phenomenal. And look at that auto attack Cassia from Nick. 0 deaths. You're into a Maiev who can Umbral Bind you. You're into Dragtongue. You're into Murdin with all those CC. He does 104k hero damage with the auto attack build. 0 deaths. Fantastic play by everyone on Oxygen. And the first victory of a set in CCL Season 4.
And it's a 3-0. Not, you said it as well. I mean, I always want all the games possible, but a well-deserved victory for Oxygen. And I got to, of course, bring Justin back into the mix to give us the breakdown analysis from that map and from kind of maybe a takeaway from the series as well.
Yeah, Oxygen just played very well throughout the entire series. I was kind of curious whether or not they would be able to look as strong in this game when they didn't have that chain CC, they didn't have the pick-oriented composition, they had that more defensive, sustained damage, sort of slowly whittle you down type of composition, a counter-engage comp, and they popped off just the same, even without it, even going up against Chili Mountain where they had that, where the burden of execution was heavily on Chili Mountain, and they absolutely did not have the same level of coordination that Oxygen had when they had that CC-heavy composition. Oxygen sort of made it look easy, honestly. They just dismantled Chili Mountain in this game 3. It felt like kind of the tipping point where everything just sort of started to fall apart. We could hear it in the comms too when we listened to Chili Mountain, that the contrast between Chili Mountain comms and Oxygen comms was night and day. You could tell that there was no real direction in Chili Mountain's comms at this point. This was a nuts save by Yasu on Bad Benny. Yasu, I was debating between MVPs. I think Yasu really deserves it this game. There were so many moments where he found creative ways to save Nick specifically, where Chili Mountain would try to focus down Nick quite heavily. Hasu was another arguable MVP. I just want to take a moment to enjoy this real quick. The arrow to bail out your offlaner, because Chili Mountain had realized that running it down bottom into the 4v4 wasn't working. They couldn't get picks when Yasu was there with the pull from Anduin. So they tried to get picks elsewhere. It worked once, getting the Bad Benny pick mid on the Tyrael, and then they tried again on the Blaze, and that's how they shut it down with Yasu having that arrow. They kind of just stopped that in its tracks. And Chili Mountain had a pick composition that kind of needed to get picks when they were all grouped up. They couldn't go for just one target, even with the isolation between the disc from Maiev and the isolation from Dahaka. They needed to get grouped up fights. They couldn't fight really split unless they had perfect engage off of those isolations. And if there was just one target they were going for, Yasu would save them every single time. We even saw creative use of the light bomb, using it on targets who were tongued by Dahaka, so that he had no way to dodge that, so that he was literally pulling the light bomb into the enemy team. So Yasu is going to be my MVP for that game. He saved everyone every single time. Copen, someone that is new to this, the 3 members of 30k on the roster. Copen, he had a bunker at the end there that saved Nick just barely at the end in that last fight. That could have turned the game, potentially. And that feels reminiscent of the previous game, where his Ardent Defender on Urel saved the game as well. So everyone from Oxygen just looking really cohesive. No matter what style they're playing, they just look like the better team today, by far. They absolutely deserve this 3-0.
Oxygen are the Titans that I think a lot of people are going to have to knock down, because right now, like, that series looked really, really good for Oxygen. Grubby, any takeaways or any thoughts so far that, from those first 3 games we saw today?
Chili Mountain has a lot of very powerful players, and they were listed very high in the power rankings of players from different teams. Against them, and perhaps not entirely by chance, as this was the inaugural planned match for CCL Season 4, we had a very strong team against them as well in Oxygen. But I didn't expect Chili Mountain to fall this hard after such hopes. Synergy on the voice comms didn't sound 100% the best. Was it a thing of the day, or will it be something going forward where you can put a lot of star players together, but the team still has to work as a team? Speaking from experience as someone that has played team leagues in the past, I can say that oftentimes a team can bring out the best in you or the worst, whether the synergy is going well. And sometimes players that maybe have 80% skill can beat players that have 100% skill. Kind of use your imagination for what that actually means.
Yeah.
So long as the team spirit, the power of friendship really is there. Oxygen did it today.
Oxygen really came out on top of this one. Like, I'm on paper, I thought they were going to look really good. Same thing with Chili Mountain, and maybe it's a scrim difference, a practice difference, a synergy difference. But comparing the 2 comms, and I know we were getting into a game 3 comms where a team is a little bit behind in the series, they're down a little bit, so maybe that's not as high energy as well. That was something I was considering when we were in there. But I mean, by comparison, Oxygen, even though they kind of had some wobbly moments when we were in their comms every single time, it was good, clear communication. And I think I like how we were hearing a lot from Hazuabs and just players in their roles. Blaze, or excuse me, on that game it was the Urel in the Tomb of the Spider Queen. Copen just naming, listing off a couple things, and then Bad Benny just leading that charge, as Justin was saying in the past. It's been such a great series so far, but we're not done. We're going to get a little interview coming up in just a few seconds here, and then later on today, we're going to be checking out Granite Gaming versus Diamond Hands. But of course, we'll have to get that interview first with one of our players from Oxygen once we get them into our call. And just continuing to look at this, I'm looking at some of the stats still because I still have it open. Tyrael still had 40,000 heroic damage. It's not like by comparison, like Hanzo had 61,000, Cassie with 104,000, but still, like, a Tyrael Justing doing a lot of damage. I feel like he's kind of starting to move up a little bit in that tank priority tier for at least the HeroesCCL drafts.
Yeah, Tyrael is kind of the best tank at playing that defensive style, playing that counter engage style. You have the Sank, and Bad Benny used it well. He didn't risk it in the fights either. He didn't wait until it was your whole team's 1 HP to get the big montage clip sanctification that saves the day. It was really safe, just preemptive Sanks, expecting things to happen, and preventing that is kind of good enough, right? That's doing the job. If you use the Sanct and it stops an engage from occurring, that's just as good as using it when your team's 1 HP. So I had to resist the urge to give Bad Benny the MVP 3 games in a row, because the last game, I think Yasu and Hasu really played extremely well to save the team. But Bad Benny has been looking just phenomenal so far in all 3 of those games. I think he was just nuts. So it's nice to see that former main tank for 30k popping off here again with his new roster.
Well, it is, we've talked a lot about this roster, but at this time I do believe we have Copen on the line, so we can actually get Copen in here. Congratulations on your victory up against Chili Mountain, a strong 3-0. Of course, I have to ask you, how you feeling, Copen, after that series?
Feeling amazing, man. That's it. Feels good.
Oh, okay. Simple answer to me, but of course, I'm sure Grubby and Justin have some deeper questions to ask. So, Justin, please fire away.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a stomp for you guys. I've heard in the interviews that your teams are sort of rivals. Did this match hold maybe any extra meaning for you as a player or as a team going up against Chili Mountain?
Last time we played some MC qualifiers, right? And we won that one convincingly. So. And we had like 2 hours before this, or 1 hour before, we also played each other, and we let them win, right? So we would have the mental edge going into this one.
Huh. Interesting.
Right.
And that is not something I would have considered, but of course, Grubby, I'm sure you've considered all these things in your experience of gaming.
Letting people win. I have a lot of experience with that. Copen, it's the start of the season. Teams were formed recently-ish. How much percentage of your training has been Storm League and how much has been scrims leading into this match?
It's been more scrims, I think, because don't have the mental for Storm League right now, so just been chilling a little bit with the Storm Leagues and then focusing more on scrims. Yeah.
Have they been fun? Have they led you to have confidence into this match? Did you pretty much feel like you were going to get the W today?
Last scrim we went 0-4, and then we played this one. So the scrims weren't going that great before this one, but it's the tournament that matters, right?
True. At the end of the day, it is these play days that matter the most, because this score will be on your record of a 3-0, and that's actually a really great way for you to start out your season. Before I let you get out of here, Copen, are there any shouts that you'd like to give?
I mean, the boys, right? The Oxygen boys, everybody was playing amazing, so that makes the games pretty easy. So GG's, that's all I have to say.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Copen. Have a great evening. We'll see you next weekend going up against Wildheart, and until then, good luck in your scrims and good luck in your practice, my friend.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for joining us. Awesome. Well, a very, very simple interview. He didn't really get into too much of the detail right there, but still, it is good to know that, scrims are kind of, they weren't the strongest, but coming out on top today, Justin, I think is a big kind of mental win for a team like this, right?
Yeah, and it's also a huge win for the standings, especially with all the power rankings placing these two teams so heavily in contention for that top 3, even for that first place spot. Getting a 3-0 early in the season, being able to have that to kind of pad your standings going forward, very, very important. And it could be, if it can kind of make up for if you have any kind of a slump at any other point during the season, having this 3-0 against the team that might be the main team you're competing against later in the standings can be super important for Rock going forward.
Well, before we go to a break, of course, Grubby, any thoughts as well? Any like final takeaways from that first series before we get ready for Granite Gaming versus Diamond Hands, as we see at the bottom of our screen?
Well, I think we have a new team to look at who maybe is standing as the favorites in this league so far. Okay. There's only one team that won so far in the season, so I'm just saying they're the team to beat.
Alrighty, well, with that, we are going to take a short little break. In that break, I don't want you to go anywhere. I want you to do a couple things, because first off, we are going to be having an interview with our sponsor from Next Level Gaming, Kevin. He's going to be joining Kyle Ferguson for a short little interview. During that interview, I want you to hit 2 commands in chat. I want you to hit !NXT, and I also want to see you all hit !prize pool to check out the prize pool. I have been seeing that you have all been donating to the Matcherino today. I see we've gone above $3,700 because of your generosity, so thank you all so much for supporting HeroesCCL. Thank you for supporting Heroes of the Storm. We are going to be getting into that Next Level Gaming interview with Cal Ferguson, and when we come back, we got Granite Gaming going up against Diamond Hands. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom.